The story begins with Orhan standing inside an abandoned tunnel while staying alert and cautious. He keeps his guard up as a few demon rats suddenly rush straight toward him. After he cleanly slices them apart with sharp sword strikes, he realizes that he is not as out of shape as he thought. This gives him some hope, and he starts thinking that he might actually still have a real chance to become a swordsman after all. Soon after that, a group of goblins appears in front of him. This time, Orhan decides that instead of relying only on his sword, he will test his support magic. He casts a support spell on himself, and his body becomes stronger while a dark green aura wraps around him. Support magic is known for boosting physical power or enhancing equipment. One important advantage of this magic is that the caster does not need to use it only on teammates. He can also use it on himself whenever needed. With his strength now increased, Orhan easily cuts down the goblins without much trouble. This kind of spell is something every party needs to survive tough battles. However, Orhan admits that support magic has a clear weakness. These spells do not last forever. The amount of time they remain active depends on the caster's magic resistance. In Orhan's case, the effect lasts for up to 3 minutes. Because of this limit, Orhan must always keep track of time in his head. He needs to recast the spell at the perfect moment, because if it runs out during a fight, the situation could turn very dangerous for him. He casts another round of support magic and uses the boost to defeat the final wave of goblins with steady and controlled movements. Despite his impressive sword skill and careful magic use, the leader of his party, Oliver, still decides to give him the boot and kicks him out from the party. Orhan is completely stunned and cannot believe what he is hearing. He thinks this must be some kind of sick joke, especially since he and Oliver have been close friends since childhood. Oliver then speaks honestly and tells Orhan that they really have been best friends for many years. Because of that friendship, Oliver explains that he gave Orhan many chances to improve. However, no real progress was made. Oliver says that Orhan simply cannot keep up with the rest of the party anymore. The other party members, Annalie and Derek, step in and tell Oliver to stop being so gentle. They directly tell Orhan that he is being kicked out because he's not strong enough. Orhan is left frozen in shock, unable to process what is happening. This party was created by Orhan and Oliver 8 years ago. It grew incredibly powerful and reached its rank in only a few years. They were the first group to reach the 94th floor of the Southern Great Dungeon. This achievement made them famous among civilians, and people began to call them the Heroes Party. Oliver admits that Orhan's support magic is not bad. However, during their last raid, they saw the power of enchanters from other parties. After comparing the difference, they realized just how weak Orhan's support magic truly was in comparison. Orhan reminds them that he is a swordsman after all, so he was never even meant to focus on support magic in the first place. Dennis suddenly snaps at Orhan and tells him to shut up and just admit the truth, that he only changed roles because Oliver was always better with a sword than him. Orhan says that is not true at all. He explains that the party desperately needed an enchanter, so he took on that role himself since he was the one with the most talent for it. He even went as far as creating his own magic to cover up his weaknesses. That, more than anything else, is probably the reason they managed to survive even on the deepest floors of the dungeon. Oliver tells Orhan that there is no point in arguing anymore because they have already found a replacement. Orhan's eyes widen in shock when he hears that, and he asks them if this is really how they plan to treat him after all the time they spent together. Orhan slowly realizes that Oliver is right. There truly is no point in arguing anymore, so he holds on to what little pride he has left and simply walks away. As he is leaving, Annalie calls out to him and says that someone like him is what people call a jack of all trades. He can do almost everything, but he is never truly great at any of them. Orhan thinks back to those words while he is in the tunnel and still believes that he is adaptable enough to become both a swordsman and an enchanter, and when he finally does, no one will ever have the nerve to call him a jack of all trades again. After that, Orhan decides to call it a day and head back home. Suddenly, a group of adventurers come running out of the dungeon entrance, terrified and out of breath. Orhan does not care about whatever problem they are dealing with and starts to walk away. However, he overhears them talking about how they were ambushed by a horde of orcs and had no choice but to leave behind the new girl who joined their party earlier that day. Orhan suddenly stops when he hears this and knows that he should not get involved. Even so, he cannot ignore it. He clenches his fist in frustration because he knows exactly how painful it is to be abandoned by your own party. The adventurers try to justify their decision decision to leave the girl behind, but that is when Orhan speaks up and tells them that people like them that piss him off the most. The adventurers try to explain that even if they had stayed and tried to save her, it would not have changed the outcome. Their leader gets furious that some random guy is questioning their judgment, so he throws a punch at Orhan. Orhan easily blocks the attack and counters, throwing the leader hard onto the ground. After that, Orhan asks them where they left the girl. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, the girl is being forced back against a wall as the orcs slowly surround her. She puts up a barrier to hold them off for the moment, but after the orcs keep striking it again and again, the barrier finally shatters. With no ideas left and nowhere to run, she gives up and quietly accepts her fate. Then all of a sudden, a powerful gust of wind fills the room, and Orhan appears right in front of her. He immediately uses his support magic and jumps into the fight against the orcs, managing to slice through a few of them. The girl watches him in shock as she sees him fighting with a sword while also using support magic at the same time, making her wonder if he is a swordsman or an enchanter. Orhan keeps cutting down the orcs, leaving the girl stunned because she has never seen anyone fight like this before. Orhan soon realizes that there are actually a lot of orcs, so he understands why a low-ranking party would choose to run away. Still, he is confident they will not be a problem for him. Using his enchanted sword, he wipes out the rest of the orcs in one swift motion. When the fight is over, Orhan walks up to her and asks if she is okay. The girl suddenly collapses to the ground and begins to cry after facing such a close brush with death. A few minutes later, they leave through a nearby cave, and outside, Orhan tells her goodbye and starts to walk away. The girl quickly calls him back and says she wants to thank him properly. She introduces herself as Sophia and offers to treat Orhan to dinner as a way of thanking him for saving her life. Orhan refuses at first, saying that he did not save her just to receive appreciation. Sophia then gives him a pair of puppy dog eyes, and Orhan finds himself unable to say no, so he agrees to have dinner with her. Before they leave, Orhan looks at her cloak and notices a crest that feels strangely familiar, even though he cannot remember where he has seen it before. Later that night, they arrive at a local restaurant, and Sophia tells him that it is her favorite place to eat. It is not very expensive, but the food there is really good. When Orhan sees the logo on one of the signs, he suddenly remembers where he has seen that crest before. It belongs to one of the rabbits' shops. From the crest on her cloak, Orhan figures out that Sophia is a member of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, one of the largest guilds in the kingdom of Nohitand. They head inside the restaurant, where Sophia unexpectedly runs into her sister, Selma. Sophia asks her what she is doing there, and Selma casually replies that she had a meeting nearby and decided to stop in to grab something to eat. Selma notices that Sophia is with a man and immediately tells her that it is too soon for her to have a boyfriend. It turns out that Orhan and Selma already know each other and share some history, which surprises Sophia. Selma is revealed to be part of the S-rank party, the strongest group within the Silver Rabbits, and she is also the most powerful enchanter on the continent. She is the one who made enchanters famous and came up with the idea of giving party members different roles. Roles like attackers to defeat enemies, defenders to block attacks, and supporters to help from the back. The concept of dividing a party into 3 roles was entirely her idea. Her influence was so great that it completely changed how adventurers prepare before entering dungeons. That idea was also the reason Orhan decided to become an enchanter for his former party, and it was after seeing Selma's incredible enchantment skills during a raid last month that Oliver and the others decided to cast Orhan aside. Orhan looks at Selma and cannot understand why she is giving him such a dirty look. Selma suddenly accuses him of trying to get close to her 14-year-old sister. Orhan quickly explains that all he planned to do was have dinner with Sophia and that his intentions are completely pure. Selma takes offense to that explanation as well and assumes that Orhan is saying Sophia is not good enough for him. Sophia then speaks up and tells Selma to stop yelling at the man who just saved her life. Selma looks confused at first, but after a few seconds, she realizes what that means. It means Sophia went into the dungeon all by herself. Sophia apologizes for doing that and says she feels really bad about it. Hearing this, Orhan now understands that Sophia had been exploring the dungeon without her clan the entire time. Seeing that Sophia is not hurt, Selma decides there is no point in scolding her any further. Selma thanks Orhan for saving her sister's life and apologizes for how rude she was earlier. After that, the 3 of them sit down to eat dinner and talk. Sophia still does not understand how Orhan and Selma know each other, so he explains that they met during the raid last month. At the time, they were both enchanters and were assigned to the same unit. Since Selma ranked higher than him, she was in charge, and Orhan supported her during the mission. Selma is surprised that Sophia does not know who Orhan is, because he is a member of the infamous Heroes Party. Sophia gasps in shock when she hears this and immediately starts treating Orhan much more formally. Orhan quickly tells them that he is no longer with the Heroes Party because they went their separate ways. Selma is shocked that the Heroes Party would let go of such a talented enchanter. She then asks Orhan if that means he is free now. Orhan assumes she is about to ask him to join the Silver Rabbits. So before she can finish her sentence, he turns her down and says he does not plan to join any party anytime soon. Selma tells him he has the wrong idea because she was not trying to recruit him. Instead, she wants Orhan to act as one of the tutors for a teaching expedition happening tomorrow. His role would be to help train a group of new recruits. The plan is for a rank adventurers and above to guide the new recruits, and they will spend the next 3 days descending 50 floors into the Southern Great Dungeon. Orhan finds this very surprising, since even top adventurers usually take 6 months to a year to reach that depth. Selma admits it will be difficult, but says it will not be impossible if they take the shortest route. On top of that, their clan sponsors are strongly pushing for it to happen. Orhan realizes that the plan is dangerous enough that they could have refused the sponsors if they wanted to, so he suspects there must be another reason. After thinking for a moment, he understands it right away. If new recruits who cannot even defeat a floor boss are allowed to reach deeper floors, the entire clan will grow much stronger. Selma is surprised that Orhan figured this out so easily with so little information. She realizes he is much sharper than she expected. In the dungeon, adventurers must defeat a floor boss that appears every 10 floors in order to continue deeper. It is normal for new recruits to get injured or even die during these fights. However, if a tutor defeats the floor boss instead, all the recruits need to do is register at the crystal on that floor and move on. Because of this, the clan needs as many strong tutors as possible, which is why they want Orhan to join them. Selma gently takes Orhan's hands and tells him that she truly respects him, which is why she wants him to be part of this mission. Hearing this, Orhan ignores the painful memory of being kicked out of the Heroes Party because his support magic was inferior to Selma's. Just thinking about it makes him realize that if he goes back to being an enchanter, he will definitely regret it. He pulls his hands away and tells Selma that he cannot come because he already has plans. Sophia then gives him the puppy dog eyes once again and begs him to come with them. Orhan cannot resist and finally gives in, but he tells Selma that he has switched to being a swordsman. If he joins them, it will be as a swordsman, not as an enchanter. Selma is surprised by this, but she decides it does not really matter. If things go wrong, she assumes he can always return to using enchantment. She then tells him that if he is coming, he should be at Silver Rabbit headquarters by tomorrow morning. Later that night, Orhan visits his favorite store. The owner is just about to close, but he still lets Orhan come in for a drink. The old man sits down with him and thanks him for advertising the store ever since he became a famous adventurer. Thanks to that, business has been doing very well. Orhan feels embarrassed and tells the old man that he is no longer part of the Heroes Party. Even so, the owner thanks him for everything he has done. Orhan is surprised that he is being thanked despite being cast aside by his party. The old man tells him that he has a feeling Orhan will receive many more thanks in the future. He also says that leaving the Heroes Party may turn out to be a blessing that Orhan simply does not see yet. He advises Orhan to follow his heart and do what feels right, promising that no matter what happens, he will always support him. Orhan's eyes fill with tears after hearing these words, and he sincerely thanks the old man. The next day, Orhan and Selma go to meet the leader of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, a man named Vince Briars. Vince has already heard many stories about Orhan and his abilities, so he is confident that Orhan would be a very valuable asset to their group. Orhan respectfully tells Vince that it is an honor to meet the leader of such a well-known and famous clan. However, before agreeing to anything, Orhan asks if he can first hear more details about the teaching expedition they are about to take part in. Vince nods and tells Selma to explain everything to Orhan. The three of them sit down together, and Selma begins breaking it down in a clear and calm way. As she speaks, the scene shifts to a moment in the past. Selma had just learned that Orhan had left the hero party, so she immediately went to report this information to Vince. When Vince heard the news, he was certain that the hero party would no longer be as strong without about Orhan. Selma agreed with him and explained that Orhan's support magic pushed the party to a level they honestly did not deserve to reach. She admits that Orhan's magic effects are weaker than average, but his casting speed is unbelievably fast, at least 4 times faster than her own. On top of that, his ability to quickly read the situation and provide the right magical support at the exact moment it is needed is what makes him the perfect enchanter. The scene then returns to the present meeting. By now, Orhan understands the main idea of the operation. There will be 10 rookie parties and 5 escort members, with Orhan and Selma included among the escorts. The rookie teams will take turns fighting monsters inside the dungeon, rotating between battles. If anything unexpected or dangerous happens, the escorts will immediately step in to handle the situation. Orhan understands almost everything, but there is one thing that bothers him. He points out that there are only 5 escorts and says that having more escorts would greatly reduce the risk of accidents or serious injuries. Selma responds by explaining that the goal of the mission is to take the rookies to level 51. If there were too many escorts, the dungeon would not be challenging at all, and the rookies would grow too comfortable. She claims that having fewer escorts is meant to make the mission more difficult and help the rookies improve faster. However, Orhan can already tell that this explanation is not completely honest. He knows that the success of this mission is extremely important, so he believes there must be another reason for limiting the number of escorts. Still, he decides not to push the issue further. He tells them that he understands and agrees to take part in the mission. With the agreement settled, Vince informs Orhan about the payment. He will receive 2 gold coins in advance and 10 more gold coins if the mission is completed successfully. Orhan is satisfied with the reward and accepts the terms without hesitation. He then promises that he will give his absolute best effort during the mission. The following day, Orhan arrives at the entrance of the dungeon, where all the students are already gathered. He soon runs into Selma and Sophia. When Orhan takes a closer look at Sophia, he notices that she is wearing an outfit that is different from the others. He casually compliments her on it. Sophia immediately turns bright red, clearly flattered by his words. Selma notices this reaction and is left completely speechless by the situation. Shortly after that, Selma looks around at the students and realizes that many of them seem nervous, tired, and discouraged. Seeing this, she quietly asks Orhan if he can help lighten the mood and raise everyone's spirits before the mission begins. Sophia leaves to rejoin her own party, while Selma brings Orhan over and introduces him to the rest of the escort team. The other escorts are Anthem, who serves as the defender, Bernard, another defender, and Kathy, the group's healer. Orhan carefully looks at each of them and analyzes their roles. After a short moment, he realizes that together they form a well-balanced group with good coverage in combat. Even so, Orhan cannot help but wonder what they would have done if he had not joined them. He questions whether someone else would have been forced to double as an attacker or fill in a role they were not suited for. A strange and uncomfortable feeling settles in his chest. His instincts tell him that something about this whole mission feels wrong, but no matter how hard he thinks, he cannot clearly figure out what it is. After that, Selma steps forward to address the students. She can tell just by looking at their faces that they are all tense and nervous. To calm them down, she announces that they are being escorted by Orhan, a man who has reached as far as floor 94 of the dungeon and who was once a member of the hero's party. Hearing this, the students react with excitement and surprise. Their nervousness fades, replaced by confidence and motivation. Many of them start believing that if someone like Orhan is with them, they will definitely be able to handle the dungeon. Once things settle down, Orhan quietly asks Selma if it was really necessary to hype him up like that in front of everyone. Selma explains that it was absolutely necessary. She says that part of their responsibility as escorts is to make sure the students stay calm, confident, and focused on the dungeon ahead. Orhan thinks about it for a moment and realizes that she has a valid point, so he decides not to argue and lets the matter go. Orhan is then assigned to escort Group 10, which turns out to be Sophia's group. He walks over and looks at the party members, quickly noticing that there are only 3 of them, since dungeon parties are usually made up of 4 people. Orhan assumes that one member must be late. However, they soon inform him that they are, in fact, a 3-person party. This immediately makes Orhan feel uneasy. He knows from experience that fewer members often means higher risk, especially in dangerous areas. Suddenly, the group's leader, Logan, steps forward and confidently introduces himself. He boldly declares that he is a great enchanter and that one day he will surpass Selma herself. Orhan can tell right away that that Logan is extremely confident, maybe even overly so. While Orhan finds his attitude questionable, he silently hopes that Logan's skills can back up his words. Next, Caroline introduces herself as the defender of the group. Orhan notices right away that she is not wearing any armor at all. Curious, he asks her if she plans to put some on later. Caroline responds casually, saying that he is not the first person to ask her that. She explains that her fighting style focuses on dodging attacks instead of blocking them, so she believes armor and shields would only slow her down. Finally, Sophia introduces herself. She is the only one who gives a proper and polite introduction, which helps Orhan relax a little. Not long after, the group begins their journey into the dungeon. Once they are inside, Orhan feels a sense of relief. The loud chatter from the students dies down, and the dungeon silence finally gives him some peace and quiet. As they move forward, Caroline starts asking Orhan many questions. Most of them are about what it was like being in the hero party and why he decided to leave. Orhan has no intention of revealing that he was actually kicked out, so he coldly tells her that it is none of her business. As they continue deeper, two demon wolves suddenly appear behind them and charge forward with clear murderous intent. Orhan notices them immediately, but he does not even bother lifting a finger. The trap spells he set up earlier activate, catching the demon wolves and killing them instantly. These trap spells are extremely difficult for enemies to detect until they are triggered. Orhan believes this is an efficient way to deal with monsters attacking from behind without slowing the group down. Time is limited, and he does not want to waste it on unnecessary fights. They continue onward and eventually reach floor 20. Throughout the journey, Orhan carefully observes how the group fights and works together. At first, he thought Logan was just an arrogant rookie who talked too much. However, after watching him in action, Orhan has to admit that Logan does have real talent as an enchanter. If Logan continues improving at this pace, Orhan believes he could eventually hold his own in a rank party. The only real problem with Logan is that he is still bad at giving clear orders during battle. His commands are slow and sometimes confusing, which could put the party in danger. Even so, Orhan is confident that this is something Logan will improve at as he gains more experience over time. As for Caroline, she has incredible speed, which suits her role perfectly since she fights as a dodge-based defender. However, she also has two major flaws. The first is that she rushes toward monsters without thinking, charging in the moment she sees an enemy without stopping to judge the situation. The second issue is her choice of weapons. She only uses two daggers. While they fit her fast fighting style, they lack the destructive power the party may need in tougher battles. Sophia does not stand out as much as the others at first glance, but after several fights, Orhan realizes that she is much better than an average rookie. She tends to fight in a passive way, holding herself back, but Orhan believes that this will change once she becomes more comfortable with her teammates. On top of that, she does not have any serious beginner mistakes that hold her back, which makes Orhan genuinely interested in seeing how she will grow in the future. Not long after, the escort teams ahead of them defeat the boss of floor 20. With the boss defeated, everyone prepares to move on to floor 21. Selma informs the students that all they need to do now is register floor 20 on their guild cards, and that will be the end of training for the day. The students follow her instructions and decide to call it a day. The next morning, Orhan wakes up and notices a newspaper lying nearby. As he reads it, he sees an article announcing that the Heroes Party has already found a new enchanter. This confirms that the news of his removal from the party is now public knowledge. Orhan feels a sharp sense of frustration and disappointment. He wishes they had waited until the teaching expedition was over before making it public, as he worries that the students might change how they see him after reading the article. Still, he knows that worrying will not change anything, so he pushes the thought aside and heads toward the dungeon for the day's lesson. On the way there, Orhan is suddenly stopped by someone familiar. One of his former party members, Luna, walks up to him and desperately asks him to come back to the hero party. Orhan is not surprised by this request, since he knows Luna has always thought highly of him. Even so, he calmly tells her that he has no intention of returning to the party. Luna gently takes his hands and reminds him of the promise they once made to clear the dungeon together. Hearing those words causes something inside Orhan to snap. He pulls his hands away sharply and turns his back on her. As he walks off, he reminds himself that completing the dungeon together was a dream shared by Luna, Oliver, and himself. When they were children, he truly wanted the three of them to stay together forever and fulfill that promise side by side. But now that everything has changed, Orhan finally accepts that some dreams are better left as dreams and nothing more. Orhan heads back to the entrance of the dungeon to meet up with the students, but he can't help wondering whether they would still trust him after reading that article. Just as he expected, the students have already read it, and they now see Orhan as the adventurer who was kicked out of the hero's party for being too weak. So even when Orhan arrives and they greet him, he can immediately tell that their opinion of him has changed. Selma rushes over to him and apologizes, saying that she had used him so much the previous day as inspiration for the new recruits. So after reading the article, it was only natural that their perception of him would shift. Orhan tells her not to worry about it and admits that it's partly his own fault for not being clear and not stating all the facts properly. Even so, the other escorts don't seem too concerned. They point out that it's still a fact that Orhan made it all the way to the 94th floor, and that he's also an excellent tutor, so they're confident he'll perform just fine regardless of what the article says. Orhan then approaches Sophia and her group and tells them that the news they read in the paper is true, apologizing for giving them the wrong impression. Sophia responds by saying she doesn't care about what's written in the article because, deep down, she knows Orhan is strong and that's all that really matters to her. Orhan explains that while he may not be the hero he made himself out to be, he is still the same adventurer who reached the 94th floor. He assures them that he'll do his best to protect them, and all they need to focus on is performing well inside the dungeon. Hearing this, Sophia and Caroline get themselves fired up and motivated, but Logan's expression makes it clear that he's still disappointed in Orhan. They proceed into the dungeon, and everything goes exactly as planned. The new recruits easily wipe out waves of minor monsters, while Orhan stays on standby in case anything goes wrong. When they reach the 31st floor, Orhan senses goblins ahead and immediately gives the students under his command clear instructions on how to deal with them. Caroline moves forward to draw the orc's attention, and once that's done, Sophia is supposed to attack from behind. Orhan is just about to tell Logan to cast support magic, but Logan does it on his own without being asked, which genuinely impresses Orhan. However, deep down, Logan thinks that the orders Orhan is giving are the same ones anyone would give, making him wonder if there's really anything special about Orhan at all. Meanwhile, Caroline has no trouble handling the orcs, but Sophia, on the other hand, freezes up in fear. Logan notices this and also sees that Orhan is watching the situation unfold while choosing not to intervene immediately. Just as Logan is about to step in and defeat the orc for Sophia, Orhan suddenly uses an agility down technique, instantly neutralizing the orc. After that, Orhan tells Sophia not to worry about not being able to take down that orc. He gives her a short but reassuring pep talk, telling her that she doesn't have to panic because her comrades are right there with her. Hearing this allows her to calm down, let go of her nerves, and focus. She then casts a fire javelin spell and takes down an orc in a single blow. Even Orhan is surprised by the sight, as he had no idea she was capable of using advanced magic like fire javelin. Afterward, Orhan praises Sophia for being able to face and defeat the orc on her own. Logan, however, remains distracted, wondering how Orhan can still use such high-level magic even though he was banished from the hero's party. Later, when they reach the 35th floor, they encounter a giant death tarantula. Logan knows exactly how dangerous that monster is and immediately fears that they won't be able to handle it on their own. He assumes Orhan will give the order to retreat, but to his surprise, Orhan gives a direct command instead, telling Caroline to jump into battle while he supports her with magic. Despite his doubts, Logan follows Orhan's instructions and casts support magic, greatly boosting Caroline's agility and speed. With this enhancement, Caroline charges straight at the tarantula, attacking it head-on with her daggers. Using her increased speed and agility, she skillfully dodges the tarantula's counterattacks. This creates an opening for Sophia, who uses her arrow cutter technique to slice through the tarantula's legs and bring it down. Logan is left completely speechless, having just witnessed them defeat such a powerful monster under Orhan's leadership. Even so, Orhan warns them that the fight isn't over yet. He orders Logan to give Caroline a strength and technique boost right after the spell is cast. Caroline is suddenly trapped by the tarantula's web and panics as the monster begins pulling her closer. Orhan calmly tells her to use her daggers to break free, explaining that she's now strong enough to do so thanks to Logan's power-up. A moment later, Orhan realizes that Logan can only maintain 3 spells at once, meaning he can't provide another boost as the previous one starts to wear off. Seeing this, Orhan steps in himself and casts a sharpness boost on Caroline, giving her the strength and confidence she needs to tear through the webbing. With Caroline free, Sophia summons a rock arrow and fires it, finishing off the tarantula in a single decisive blow. The girls celebrate their victory, while Orhan praises Logan, acknowledging that none of this would have succeeded without his support magic. After that, Orhan suggests that they regroup with the rest of the students. When they reunite, Selma commends them for making it this far and informs everyone that the next day will be the final day of the expedition. She advises them to get plenty of rest and prepare themselves, after which they're dismissed. After leaving the group, Orhan heads home alone. But on the way, Anthem and Bernard approach him and mention that they're about to grab something to eat, asking if he'd like to join them. Orhan says he'd love to join them, and the three of them head over to the bar together. Meanwhile, Logan meets up with Sophia and Caroline. Sophia tells him about how Orhan saved her life 3 days ago when she was alone in the dungeon. Logan also recalls how, during today's expedition, Orhan used an ability known as Agility Down, a skill that lowers an enemy's abilities. It's an extremely powerful technique, but it's also very difficult to use, to the point that even Selma doesn't rely on it very often. Despite that, Orhan seemed to use it with ease. When Logan first heard the news about Orhan being banished, he felt disappointed, as if his expectations had been betrayed. But in reality, Orhan had always been several levels above what Logan expected. What shocks him the most is the fact that, despite being an incredible enchanter, Orhan chose to convert into a frontline attacker. Orhan excels at both enchanting and frontline combat, and Logan realizes that this is what a true genius looks like. With that realization, Logan makes up his mind to continue training until he becomes just as strong as Orhan, or maybe even stronger. Meanwhile, Orhan and the others arrive at a restaurant, where a variety of delicious food is laid out in front of them. Right before they dig in, Anthem and Bernard recall that Orhan told them he was a frontline attacker when they first met him. Yet the article written about him described him as an enchanter. Curious, they ask which one is true. Orhan explains that he converted from being an enchanter to a frontline attacker after leaving the hero party. He goes on to explain that he was inspired to become a swordsman by his grandfather. His grandfather was a former explorer, and one day, when a monster appeared in their village, he defeated it with a single slash of his sword. Ever since witnessing that moment, Orhan dreamed of becoming a swordsman himself. However, when he joined the hero's party, the monsters on the lower floors of the dungeon began to grow too powerful for them to handle without proper support. The party was in desperate need of an enchanter, and since Orhan was a jack of all trades who could do almost anything, the rest of the party voted for him to take that role. Thanks to Orhan's support as their enchanter, they were able to reach as deep as the 94th floor. Now that he's gone, Orhan knows their chances of reaching anything beyond that are close to zero. Anthem then asks Orhan what his ideal swordsman would be like. Orhan replies that his ideal swordsman would be an incredible jack of all trades, someone capable of pushing through the lower floors entirely on their own without relying on a party. That is the kind of swordsman he wants to become. Seeing the drive and determination in Orhan's words, Anthem and Bernard are confident that things will work out for him in the end. Meanwhile, Sophia and Caroline are taking a bath together. Sophia grows a little sad as she realizes that since the expedition is ending tomorrow, she might never get the chance to see Orhan again. Caroline suggests that she ask Orhan to stay with the night sky rabbits, which would give her more opportunities to see him. After thinking it over for a while, Sophia agrees with the idea. Then, on the final day of the expedition, everyone turns their heads in shock as members of the hero party are seen casually strolling in. Shortly after, Orhan arrives at the entrance of the dungeon and realizes that this may be the very last time he will see his students like this, so he makes up his mind to truly make the most out of the day. He meets up with Sophia and the others and tells them that even though today is the final day of the expedition, they still need to stay alert, keep their guard up, and give it everything they have. The group listens carefully and all agree with him. Caroline then asks Orhan whether they will be getting some kind of reward for successfully completing the expedition, which leaves Orhan a bit confused. So he asks them if there is anything they want from him specifically. Caroline lightly nudges Sophia, since Sophia actually wants to ask Orhan to stay with the night sky rabbits, but she feels too shy and embarrassed to say it out loud. When Sophia finally gathers the courage to speak and tries to tell Orhan what she wants, Selma suddenly calls Orhan over, interrupting her before she can finish her sentence. As Orhan walks away, he overhears some of the rookie adventurers talking among themselves about the hero's party planning to go deep into the dungeon today, starting directly at the 92nd floor. When Orhan hears this, he immediately realizes how dangerous and foolish that plan sounds, especially since the party has a new member and should first test how well they work together on the lower floors. However, he quickly reminds himself that it is no longer his responsibility, so he decides to stop worrying about it and moves on. Meanwhile, on the 92nd floor of the dungeon, Oliver is busy hyping up his party, confident and excited now that they have replaced Orhan with a new enchanter. Because of this change, the group feels completely unstoppable. Oliver firmly believes that after this dungeon dive, he will finally be able to prove to Luna that they were right to fire Orhan in the first place. The scene then shifts back to 2 days earlier, when the heroes' party officially welcomes their new recruit, Philly. They even throw a small welcome party for her, using it both as a celebration to greet her and as a way to say good riddance to Orhan. With that decided, they raise their drinks, cheer loudly, and drink together in high spirits. Suddenly, Luna bursts into the room, saying that she has an important announcement to make, but she stops short when she notices an unfamiliar face among them. Oliver explains that the girl is Philly, their new recruit, and tells Luna to go ahead and say what she wanted to announce. Luna then explains that she just received news that Orhan has entered the dungeon together with the Night Sky Rabbits, and she is shocked and confused about how that could have happened. Everyone in the room is stunned by this information, wondering how Orhan managed to join an S-rank party after being kicked out only 3 days ago. Luna has been absent for a while and does not know the full situation, so Oliver decides to explain everything to her. Oliver and the others tell her that Orhan has already left their party and is no longer with them. Back in the present, Oliver and Annalie begin to notice that their attacks are barely having any effect, which feels very strange because when Orhan was still with them, their attacks were much stronger and more effective. Philly is also struggling, having a hard time casting multiple spells, and her strength and speed buffs are almost useless since they do not seem to improve anything at all. The group starts to wonder why they feel so slow, weak, and powerless. Luna stands quietly in the back, just about ready to say, "I told you so," when suddenly, a massive black dragon appears high above them, casting a dark shadow over the entire area. Oliver cannot believe what he is seeing because the black dragon is supposed to stay on the 93rd floor and never leave the boss area under normal circumstances. Luna immediately panics and tells everyone that they need to get out of there as fast as possible. But Derek and the others refuse to retreat and insist on staying to fight. They are determined to prove that they can defeat the dragon even without Orhan's help. The entire party attacks the dragon with everything they have, but just as expected, their attacks barely have any effect on it at all. Luna urgently tells Oliver that continuing this fight will only lead to everyone getting killed, and she insists that he should buy them time while the others escape. Meanwhile, Philly is completely frozen in fear, since this is the very first time she has ever faced a black dragon in her life. Seeing this, Oliver snaps at her and forces her to focus, telling her to give him a buff so he can attack the dragon and buy enough time for the others to get away. Philly quickly follows his command and casts the buff on him. When the dragon unleashes a powerful blast of fire, Oliver charges forward and launches his own attack in response. However, the dragon's attack is far stronger, and Oliver is violently blasted backward across the floor. When Luna rushes over to check on him, she finds Oliver in a panicked and shaken state, and he desperately asks her what he is supposed to do now. Luna reminds him that he is the leader of the party, so the decision is supposed to be his to make. As the dragon begins preparing its next devastating attack, Luna realizes that they have no other choice but to use the Fickle Gate. The Fickle Gate is a magical item meant only for emergency escapes and can only be used inside a dungeon. It creates a portal that sends anyone who enters it to a random floor, which could be either higher or lower. This means they could end up facing an entirely different boss when they arrive. Even so, they decide it is still their best option, since staying would guarantee their deaths. They throw the Fickle Gate onto the ground, and a glowing portal opens in front of them. The party prepares to jump through it, but at that exact moment, the dragon goes completely berserk and rushes straight toward the portal. Before anyone can stop it, the black dragon flies into the portal, which then immediately closes behind it. The members of the heroes' party begin celebrating, believing that they have been saved. However, Luna quickly shuts them down and tells them that this is actually the worst possible outcome. She explains that the black dragon has now been sent sent to a random floor where unsuspecting adventurers are currently exploring. Luna says they must return to the guild immediately and have them forcibly teleport every adventurer out of the dungeon. She reminds them that every adventurer carries a guild card, which has a special emergency function that allows the guild to forcibly teleport them out of the dungeon during a crisis like this one. Oliver agrees with Luna's idea and tells her to heal the others before they move out. While Luna heals everyone, she explains to Oliver that after they make the request for a forced teleport, they will eventually have to fight the Black Dragon again. Because of that, she says she wants Orhan to replace Philly, even though she hates the idea of dragging him back just to clean up the mess they created. The others immediately try to shut down the idea of calling Orhan, but Luna explains that during today's battle, they did not suddenly become weaker. She says they have always been this weak, and that Orhan had been using his support magic the entire time to make them appear strong without them even realizing it. Even after hearing this, Oliver still feels that Philly should be able to do everything Orhan did, especially since she is more talented than him. Luna explains that Orhan was always aware of that fact, which is why he worked so hard to create several original spells to make up for his shortcomings. When the others hear this, they are completely shocked, because they never expected Orhan to be capable of creating his own original magic. Shortly after that, Luna tells them that this is all she can do for now, and they begin running back toward the dungeon entrance. As they run, Luna continues explaining more about Orhan's original magic and how it multiplied their abilities by 50 times, which is what caused them to become arrogant and overly confident. The others find this very hard to believe, because even Selma, who is known as the most talented enchanter, can only strengthen abilities by 10 times at most. Luna tells them that it may sound unbelievable, but it is completely true. She explains that they were blinded by the power Orhan gave them and forgot to acknowledge the person behind that strength. As Luna continues explaining, Oliver and the others slowly come to realize that Orhan was the one holding their entire team together the whole time. However, Oliver also realizes that it is far too late now, because Orhan is already with the Night Sky Rabbits. Not long after, they rush out of the dungeon entrance, where the rookies look at them with admiration, thinking they are heroes who are getting along well with their new recruit. However, Oliver knows the truth. He knows they are not heroes, and that they have just put every adventurer inside the dungeon in serious danger. At that moment, Oliver has a change of heart. He recalls defeating the Black Dragon in the past together with the heroes party, and with that memory in mind, he convinces himself that his heroes party will be just fine without Orhan after all. Meanwhile, Orhan and his group were getting ready to start the last dungeon exploration of the expedition. Their main goal was to clear the dungeon from level 36 all the way to level 50. Once they reached level 51, they planned to use their teleportation crystals to leave safely and return without having to climb further. This had been the exact same routine they had followed since the very first day of the expedition. Every day had felt similar, but today, Orhan could not shake the feeling that something was different. There was something about the dungeon today that felt unusual, as if it were aware of them or hiding something. A strange sense of unease settled in his mind, making him more alert than usual as they prepared to step inside. Before they went into the dungeon, the kids began talking about a man known as Albert the Sensible. Orhan knew that Albert was considered an undisputed ace of the Sky Silver Rabbits, a fact widely known and respected. Almost everyone in the adventuring world knew about Albert's skills. It was also public knowledge that he had died while fighting the Black Dragon on the 92nd floor of the dungeon, a loss that had shaken everyone who knew of him. Suddenly, Caroline's voice grew emotional. She said that Albert had died trying to protect his comrades, even though it had actually been the defender's duty to protect him. Her words carried a mix of sadness and anger, and her face darkened as she reflected on what had happened. She concluded grimly that if you truly want to protect someone, the safest way is to keep them far away from danger. In her mind, this meant that if she herself fought on the front lines, the others would remain safe and out of harm's way. Orhan saw the look on her face and immediately recognized it. It was a look he had seen before, one that reflected determination, strong resolve, and a willingness to bear risk for the sake of others. Still, as an outsider to her personal feelings, he quietly decided it would be best to stay out of it and let her think her own way. Putting all that aside, the group finally entered the dungeon. As they moved deeper inside, Selma met up with Orhan. She told him that she had noticed the kids taking a liking to him. Orhan admitted that he was very grateful to hear that. He had been worried that the article written about him might make make the kids view him differently, perhaps with suspicion or doubt. But now, seeing that they seemed to accept him as he was, he felt a wave of relief and genuine happiness. Selma then brought up the fact that she had overheard the group earlier talking about Albert the Great. She admitted that losing Albert had been an enormous blow to their party. Albert had contributed in so many ways, and his absence was deeply felt. Everyone knew that finding someone capable of filling his role and living up to his achievements would be an almost impossible task. Taking the opportunity, Selma tried to recruit Orhan to join their party. She explained that someone with his talents would be a tremendous asset. However, Orhan politely refused. He knew that a party could not function properly with two enchanters, especially since Selma herself was already an enchanter. Selma acknowledged that he was right about this, but she also reminded him that earlier he had wanted to join them as a swordsman, not as an enchanter. Even after saying that, Selma did not push him further. She simply told him to think about it carefully and left the decision in his hands. She wanted him to have time to consider it fully, without any pressure, allowing him to decide whether joining the party would be right for him or not. Then the expedition continued, and the group steadily made their way deeper into the dungeon. After they reached the 40th floor, Selma gave instructions for everyone to split up and explore on their own. She told them to meet back together when it was time to face the floor boss. Orhan and his group were now completely on their own. Sophia, being cautious, started to feel a little worried about being left alone in such a dangerous place. She couldn't help but imagine what might happen if they ran into a particularly strong enemy. Logan, on the other hand, saw the situation differently. He actually felt that being left alone was a kind of compliment. To him, it showed how much the others trusted them and believed in their abilities to handle themselves in the dungeon without supervision. He felt proud and confident, seeing it as a sign of their skill and reliability. Meanwhile, far away from the group, Luna suddenly burst into the Adventurers Guild in a rush. She ran straight to Eleonora and urgently told her to get the guild master immediately. Luna explained that everyone in the dungeon needed to be teleported out as soon as possible because a black dragon was on the loose and posed an extreme threat to anyone still inside. Back with Orhan and his party, something felt off. They hadn't encountered a single monster since they arrived on this floor. The silence and emptiness were unnatural, and Orhan felt a strange unease. It was almost as if the monsters themselves were afraid to come out, or something was keeping them back. Just then, Caroline spotted a goblin hiding behind a rock. Orhan immediately recognized the danger. Knowing exactly how dangerous even a single goblin could be, he quickly used his agility down technique to weaken the goblin's strength. Caroline immediately followed up and knocked it down shortly afterward. Once the fight was over, Orhan sternly scolded Caroline for rushing into battle like that. He reminded her that goblins were stronger than they looked, and that as the defender, her role was the core of the party. If she were in danger, Logan and Sophia would have to put themselves at risk to save her. Caroline saw how worried her teammates were about her safety. She felt guilty and immediately apologized. She promised that she would not rush into fights like that again, and that she would be more careful to protect herself, knowing that the rest of the party relied on her. Meanwhile, the hero party had met up with the guild master. They explained the situation with the black dragon and urgently requested that a forced teleport be used to evacuate everyone from the dungeon as quickly as possible. At first, the guild master rejected the idea, knowing just how much mana such a teleport would require. The spell was incredibly taxing, and attempting it could be dangerous. However, after considering the severity of the situation, he realized that a forced teleport was actually the most reasonable and necessary option to save everyone. With the decision made, preparations began immediately. The guild master and his staff worked quickly, and the hero party helped where they could to ensure the spell would succeed. Shortly afterward, all the preparations were complete. The forced teleport was ready to be activated. Before it began, the guild master turned to the hero party and said that he wanted them to be the ones to defeat the black dragon once everyone had been safely teleported out of the dungeon. The members of the party immediately hesitated, feeling unsure of themselves. They did not feel ready to take on such a formidable opponent yet. Luna, however, spoke up decisively. She insisted that they would do their best to fight the black dragon and protect everyone, but mentions that there is one request she wants to make, though not all of the others were fully convinced. Luna's determination inspired them. Shortly afterward, the hero party prepared themselves and made their way back into the dungeon, ready to face whatever awaited them. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, it was finally time for everyone to face the floor boss. All the groups gathered together together to watch the chaperones take on one of the floor bosses. This was meant to be a learning experience for the other adventurers, a way to study the chaperones' fighting styles and tactics so they could apply what they learned in their own future battles. The chaperones stepped forward and immediately began working together as a team. They coordinated their attacks perfectly, moving in sync and using each other's strengths to the fullest. Orhan's group watched carefully, taking note of how efficiently the chaperones fought. They were in awe, seeing how well the chaperones supported one another, and each member silently wished that one day they could reach that same level of teamwork and skill. It did not take long before the chaperones completely defeated the floor boss. Everyone present was left amazed at their performance, impressed by the precision, strength, and strategy they had displayed. At the same time, the hero party are still making their way back to the dungeon as quick as they can. Oliver asks Luna why she requested that the guild master evacuate the people on floors 40 to 50 first. Luna explains that Orhan is currently there, leaving Annery to wonder what Orhan has to do with any of this. Luna tells everyone that they have absolutely no chance of defeating the boss themselves without Orhan. Her words shocked the others, and some of them felt confused and even a little offended. They had never been told that their abilities were so lacking, and it stung their pride. However, Luna did not let them dwell on their feelings. She gave them a harsh reality check, explaining that they were currently the weakest S-rank party. She reminded them that they had already failed to defeat the Black Dragon, and that their only hope of surviving the upcoming challenge was to get Orhan back to fight alongside them. Her words were blunt, but they carried the truth, and everyone understood the seriousness of the situation. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon's 50th floor, the chaperones had encountered yet another floor boss. Selma tells Orhan that it's his turn to step up and lead the fight. She explains that all they need to do is cut off the crab's claw first, and then shatter its hard shell. Orhan remarks that it's easier said than done, leaving him with no other choice. He draws his sword, jumps into the air, and uses his impact spell on his sword, cutting off the crab's claw in just one strike. Everyone is left in shock, especially since the crab shell is known to be extremely tough. Orhan then explains that he used one of his original spells called Impact, which temporarily boosts both the user's equipment power and magic by up to 100 times for a brief moment. Thanks to this, the others are able to seize the opportunity and defeat the floor boss without suffering any serious injuries. Orhan's performance as a swordsman in this battle stunned everyone. The group had always known him as an enchanter, so seeing him fight with a sword so skillfully was completely unexpected. While Orhan was busy accepting the praise and admiration from everyone around him, he suddenly sensed a heavy, oppressive presence. Before anyone could react, a portal opened right in front of them. From within it, the Black Dragon emerged, leaving everyone, including Orhan, in total shock. All the chaperones immediately sense the murderous aura coming from the Black Dragon. The pressure it gives off is overwhelming, and they all know at once that this is the real deal. Selma is completely frozen, her body locked in place by fear. Her mind goes blank as she stares at the massive creature before them. Meanwhile, Orhan forces himself to stay calm and begins desperately thinking of a way for everyone to survive. He quickly comes up with a plan. If they can somehow get past the dragon and reach the teleportation crystal, they might be able to escape. But when Orhan looks back at the others, his heart sinks. He realizes that he is the only one who can still move. Everyone else is frozen in fear, unable to even take a single step. His plan would work, but only for him. If he ran now, he would survive, but everyone else would be left behind to die. Orhan knows he would never be able to live with that guilt. Letting everyone die while he escapes is not an option. With his decision made, he clenches his fist and decides to defeat the Black Dragon right here and now. He draws his sword and shouts to the other chaperones, telling them to focus on protecting the rookies no matter what happens. Hearing his voice snaps Selma back to reality. She quickly gives the order for everyone to assume a defensive formation. The chaperones raise their barrier just as the Black Dragon opens its mouth and fires a massive ball of flames straight at them. As the fireball rushes toward them, they can already tell it is far too powerful. The heat alone feels unbearable, and they are certain the barrier will not hold. Despair begins to set in, and some of them start to lose hope. At the very last second, Orhan casts an impact spell that reinforces the barrier. The spell strengthens it just enough to withstand the blast. The explosion rocks the area, but when the smoke clears, the chaperones realize they are still alive. Confusion spreads among them. That attack should have killed them instantly. Selma thinks back and realizes the only reason they they survived must have been Orhun's spell. While the others recover, Orhun charges forward and faces the black dragon head-on. He quickly comes up with a plan and throws a dagger straight at the dragon's eye. The dragon instinctively closes it, and that brief moment is all Orhun needs. He unleashes a powerful impact attack directly at the dragon. The force creates a massive explosion, sending thick smoke into the air. Everyone watching believes that attack must have finally defeated the monster. However, when the smoke fades, their hope is crushed. The black dragon is still standing, completely unharmed. Orhun is shocked, but not discouraged. He already knew his earlier attack would not be enough. Without turning back, he tells the chaperones to keep protecting the rookies. He glances over his shoulder and gives them a calm, reassuring smile, telling them that he will defeat the black dragon. Orhun then continues his battle, drawing the dragon farther away from the others. Selma watches him go, her heart heavy with fear. She wonders if it is really okay to let Orhun fight such a monster alone. Her mind drifts back to Albert, remembering that this is the same dragon that killed him. If Orhun were to die the same way, she knows she would never forgive herself. The black dragon fires another massive fireball at Orhun, but he quickly summons a reflective wall. The fireball slams into it and is sent flying straight back at the dragon. Even so, Orhun is stunned to see that the reflected attack does no real damage. Logan, watching closely, notices the spell Orhun used and realizes he has never seen magic like that before. The reflective wall is an original spell that Orhun created completely on his own. The spell reflects anything that touches it back toward the attacker, even though it worked exactly as intended. Seeing that the reflected fireball did no damage only makes Orhun more frustrated. He realizes that if he wants to win, he is going to have to take serious risks. Orhun decides to cast a status up spell on himself.
Status up. Double.
This is a high-level spell that doubles a person's physical and magical abilities. Selma notices the spell and immediately doubts that even double Orhun's strength would be enough to defeat the black dragon. But Orhun does not stop there. He casts the spell again and then again, repeating it 5 times in a row. By doing this, he increases his overall power by 32 times. Selma stares in disbelief. Casting that many high-level spells consecutively should not even be possible. She is left completely speechless, and, for the first time, starts to feel a little afraid of Orhun himself. She wonders what other hidden spells or abilities he might still be hiding. However, using so many spells at once places an enormous burden on Orhun's body. The strain is equal to casting 30 spells at the same time, and his body is already starting to feel the damage. Knowing he cannot keep this up for long, Orhun decides to end the fight as quickly as possible. As Orhun falls through the air, the black dragon swings its massive tail toward him, aiming to crush him midair. Just before the attack lands, Orhun suddenly creates what looks like a solid stepping stone beneath his feet. He kicks off it and launches himself in a new direction. Everyone watching is shocked and assumes it must be some kind of magic. However, that is not the case. What Orhun uses is a special ability. Some gifted humans are born with special abilities, which are a different kind of power separate from magic and sorcery. These abilities allow them to do things that normal magic cannot. Orhun's special ability is called Magic Convergence. It allows him to gather magic into a single point and turn it into something physical. By doing this, he can create footholds in midair, propel himself forward, or use it in many other ways. Oliver also has a special ability, but he only uses his for direct attacks. Using Magic Convergence, Orhun closes the distance and strikes the black dragon with a single powerful blow. The attack lands cleanly and deals real damage, knocking the massive creature off its feet. Everyone watching is stunned. They cannot believe that Orhun actually managed to hurt the black dragon. For a brief moment, hope returns, but Selma notices something troubling. Orhun is stumbling slightly, struggling to keep his balance. The effects of the stacked spells are clearly taking a toll on his body. She hesitates, wondering if she should join the fight and help him. Fear grips her chest, and panic starts to rise, but she quickly forces herself to calm down. She realizes that the best thing she can do right now is protect the recruits and make sure Orhun can stay focused on the battle without worrying about them. As Orhun continues fighting the black dragon, his thoughts suddenly drift back to his childhood. He remembers returning home with Oliver after a long day of training, only to find that bandits had attacked his village during the night. Several people were killed, and many others were left badly injured. That day changed Orhun forever. From that moment on, he swore to become stronger so he could protect the people and things he cared about, and so nothing would ever be taken from him again. Back on the battlefield, Orhan notices that the black dragon is still underestimating him based on how much energy it is using. He decides to take advantage of that mistake. He charges forward and launches a direct attack, but he is quickly forced to retreat. The black dragon's movements suddenly become faster and stronger, signaling that the real battle has only just begun. The others watch the battle closely and are amazed that Orhan is able to keep up with the black dragon. Seeing this, they begin to believe that he might actually be able to win. Hope slowly spreads among them as they watch him trade blows with such a terrifying monster. However, Selma looks on with a more serious expression. Unlike the others, she can clearly tell that this is not going well. Orhan is fighting hard, but he is not freely able to land a decisive, killing blow. At this rate, she knows he will eventually run out of mana before the dragon goes down. The last time Orhan defeated the black dragon, he was not alone. He had the hero party with him, and each member played their role perfectly. One distracted the enemy, another supported from the back, and another delivered key attacks. Now, none of them are here. Orhan is forced to take on every role by himself at the same time. He has to attack, defend, support, and control the battle all alone. Even so, Orhan knows he has no other choice. If he falls, everyone else will die. He continues fighting the dragon, carefully rotating his attacks. Each move serves a purpose, slowly wearing the black dragon down and pushing it closer to its limit. When Orhan senses that the moment is right, he channels magic convergence into his blade. The sword turns completely pitch black, absorbing the magic around it. With a powerful swing, he releases a massive slash using his impact skill. The attack crashes into the dragon and causes a huge explosion that shakes the ground. Everyone watching believes that this must be the end, but when the smoke clears, even Orhan is left in disbelief. The black dragon is still standing. It managed to survive by sacrificing its tail, using it to lessen the force of the attack. Orhan quickly realizes that it was foolish to expect anything less from such a powerful and experienced monster. Knowing this has to end now, Orhan makes a drastic decision. He destroys his own sword without hesitation. In its place, he uses his destruction technique to summon a massive pitch black sword. Destruction is a spell that compresses extremely amplified magic into a weapon, creating overwhelming power. The air around the blade feels heavy and dangerous. Orhan leaps into the air and rapidly casts several reflective wall spells. He bounces off them in different directions, changing angles and positions to confuse the black dragon about where he really is. The dragon turns its head wildly, struggling to track him. When the timing is perfect, Orhan pushes off one wall straight downward and casts a weight down spell on himself. The spell greatly increases the force of gravity, sending him plummeting at incredible speed. He strikes the black dragon head on with the massive black sword. The impact creates a violent explosion that echoes across the battlefield. The ground shakes, and smoke and debris fill the air, blocking everyone's view. For a moment, there is complete silence. When the smoke finally clears, Orhan is seen standing by gripping his sword. The black dragon has been defeated once and for all. Selma and Sophia stare in disbelief, and then relief washes over them as they realize Orhan is still alive. The others rush toward him, celebrating his victory as the battle finally comes to an end. Meanwhile, the hero party makes its way toward the entrance of the dungeon. As they approach, they see the bright flash of a teleportation crystal activating. Luna assumes that the adventurers who went inside must have escaped safely by now. When they reach the dungeon entrance, they find a large crowd of adventurers gathered around something. The hero party pushes through the crowd to see what happened. Lying on the ground before them is the massive body of a black dragon. It is completely still. Oliver is deeply shaken from his earlier encounter with the dragon. The moment he sees it, he draws his sword out of fear. However, Luna quickly tells him to stop. She carefully observes the dragon and realizes that it has already been defeated. The entire party is confused. They cannot understand how such a powerful black dragon could have been killed. That is when they notice Orhan standing nearby, leaning weakly against his sword. Orhan slowly walks toward Luna. In a tired voice, he tells her to handle the cleanup. After saying that, he walks past her and leaves without explaining anything else. Luna watches him carefully. She notices that he is the only one who appears seriously injured. From this, she concludes that Orhan must have defeated the black dragon by himself. The rest of the hero party finds that hard to believe. Derek then calls out to Orhan and demands an explanation of what happened inside the dungeon, but Luna stops him. She points out that the situation is obvious. Orhan defeated the dragon alone. She tells them they should accept that they are much weaker than they think. This only makes Derek become angry at Luna. He feels that she is being bossy and looking down on them. In frustration, he tries to attack her. However, Luna calmly summons her pixie spirit. The pixie uses magic to freeze him in place before he can do anything. As Orhan walks away, Oliver clenches his teeth. He begins to realize that Luna may have been right about their weaknesses all along. Meanwhile, Sophia is busy writing her report about the expedition. She decides that her entire report will focus on Orhan. She explains that he taught her a lot about what it truly means to be part of a party. More than that, he defeated the Black Dragon alone. Watching that battle made her admire him even more and deepened her feelings for him. Later, Selma enters the room looking extremely tired. Without saying much, she goes straight to her bed and lies down. Sophia has never seen Selma this exhausted before. She also notices that Selma seems to be in low spirits. Wanting to cheer her up, Sophia suggests that they take a bath together to relax. Selma agrees. Soon, both of them are soaking in warm water. Sophia finds the experience more enjoyable and relaxing than she expected. After some time passes, Selma asks Sophia what she thought about Orhan's performance in the dungeon. Selma expects Sophia to simply say that it was impressive or cool. Instead, Sophia gives an unexpected answer. She says that she understands how Orhan did it. Selma immediately becomes excited. She has been eager to understand Orhan's methods and strength. She asks Sophia to explain everything in detail. Sophia explains that during the battle with the Black Dragon, all the magic Orhan used was basic magic. None of it was advanced or special. He simply used simple spells with perfect timing, control, and strategy. Sophia tells Selma that during the battle, Orhan only used the same methods and lessons he taught her and the rest of her party. He did not rely on anything special. Even so, Sophia still finds it amazing that he was able to carry out all of it by himself without any help. Selma listens carefully. She tells Sophia that she is truly impressive for being able to understand that much. Selma admits that she could not see it clearly herself because she was too focused on wanting to become stronger. Sophia gently hugs Selma and comforts her. She tells Selma that she is amazing too. She reminds her that she is a great leader, someone her party depends on. Without Selma's guidance, the team would not function the way it does. The next morning, Orhan wakes up feeling pain across his entire body. Even after using his pain relief skill on himself several times, the soreness does not fully go away. Still, he knows this is normal. He pushed himself far beyond his limits during the battle with the Black Dragon. He gets out of bed and walks to the window. When he looks outside, he is slightly surprised to see Selma approaching the building. Soon after, the two of them meet downstairs at the diner and sit down for a coffee. The atmosphere is calm at first. Then Selma suddenly stands up and bows deeply in front of Orhan. She thanks him sincerely for what he did during the expedition. She tells him that he is the only reason their group managed to escape without losing anyone. Orhan politely asks her to stop bowing. He says that someone of her status should not be bowing to him. However, Selma tells him that her position does not matter in this case. She insists that she truly wants to thank him properly, no matter what her rank is. After that, Selma informs him that the leader of their clan has requested a meeting with him. Orhan agrees to go. Not long after, they arrive at the headquarters of the Night Sky Rabbits. Orhan is introduced to the clan leader. The leader does not waste time with small talk and goes straight to the point. He asks Orhan if he would like to join the Night Sky Rabbits, not as a normal member, but as a lieutenant. Orhan is shocked by the offer. He cannot believe he is being considered for such a high position, especially at his young age. The leader tells him not to think about age. He explains that Orhan already has the strength, skill, and experience needed for the role. Orhan admits that it is a very attractive offer. However, he does not want to rush into a decision he might regret later. He tells the leader that he needs time to think about it. The leader understands and says he has no problem with that. After the meeting, Orhan prepares to leave. As he is about to go, the leader calls out to him again and informs him that the Adventurer Guild Master has also been wanting to speak with him. Orhan says he will visit the guild after leaving the headquarters. As he walks through the streets, Orhan feels conflicted about whether he should join the Night Sky Rabbits. It is a big opportunity, but it also comes with responsibility. To help himself decide, he makes a short visit to see the old man he trusts. He explains the entire situation to him. The old man smiles, clearly pleased to see that Orhan is active again. He tells Orhan that he is glad he has returned to action. Then he simply advises him to take his time, think think carefully and follow his heart before making a final decision. Later, Orhan arrives at the Adventurer Guild. He is guided into a large room and seated in front of the guild master. Several important figures are also present, including respected dignitaries and members of the hero party. The atmosphere is serious. The guild master looks directly at Orhan and asks him if he was truly the one who defeated the Black Dragon. Before Orhan can fully respond, Derek and some of the other heroes interrupt. They claim there is no way he could have defeated the dragon alone. They suggest that he probably only finished it off after they had already weakened. Orhan responds calmly but firmly. He tells them to be quiet because the discussion is not about them. His tone makes it clear that he has no interest in arguing. At the same time, Sophia and her party hear rumors that Orhan might be joining the Night Sky Rabbits. They understand that these are only rumors, but they still want to confirm the truth directly from him. The problem is that they have no idea where he is. After thinking for a moment, Sophia realizes that her sister Selma would likely know his location. Meanwhile, Selma is sitting alone on a bench in the park. She is deep in thought, reflecting on the battle with the Black Dragon. She remembers clearly how Orhan fought. From what she witnessed, she can tell that Orhan is far stronger and more capable than she is. Because of that, she begins to believe that it is unlikely he would join the Night Sky Rabbits. He does not need their support, and if anything, they might only slow him down. As she sits there thinking, Sophia and her party approach her. They ask where Orhan is because they want to know if he plans to join the Night Sky Rabbits. Selma says that Orhan is simply too strong for their group. If he joined, they might hold him back rather than help him grow. Even so, Logan and the others say they still want him to join. They believe that being around someone as skilled as Orhan would allow all of them to learn and improve. They do not see him as someone who would be slowed down. Instead, they see him as someone who could raise their level. Hearing this, Selma smiles slightly. She begins to think that maybe she has been worrying too much. Perhaps Orhan's strength does not mean he must walk alone. She then tells them that he was at the Adventurer Guild earlier. If they hurry, they might still catch him there. As soon as they hear this, Sophia and the others run as fast as they can toward the guild. Meanwhile, Orhan finishes his meeting at the Adventurer Guild and steps outside after making his decision. As he walks down the street, he suddenly notices Sophia and her party approaching him. The moment he sees them, he quickly turns and runs in the opposite direction. Sophia and the others immediately chase after him. However, Orhan skillfully avoids them. He turns corners quickly, slips through crowded streets, and disappears into narrow pathways. They spend the rest of the day trying to track him down, but each time they think they have found him, he manages to escape again. No matter how hard they try, Orhan always finds a way to stay one step ahead. By the end of the day, Orhan returns to the old man's store. He sits down and tells him everything that happened, including the meeting at the guild and the rumors about him joining the Night Sky Rabbits. The old man listens carefully, but there is one thing he does not understand. He asks Orhan why he has been running away from the kids all day. Orhan explains that he decided not to join any adventurer party right away. Because of that, he feels that seeing them might make them disappointed or sad. He does not want to face their reactions until he is sure of his decision. Hearing this, the old man smiles and says that if Orhan is worried about hurting their feelings, then those kids must mean a lot to him. Orhan does not deny it. Meanwhile, Sophia and the others are still searching for Orhan. After talking among themselves for a long time, they come to a bold decision. If Orhan does not join the Night Sky Rabbits, then they will quit the clan and become his apprentices instead. They are serious about staying by his side and learning from him. Later that night, Orhan goes to one of his favorite quiet spots in the city. It is a peaceful place where he often comes to think. He wonders whether he should continue walking alone or accept the offer to join the Night Sky Rabbits. As he thinks, he suddenly notices someone nearby. It is Sophia. She just happened to come to the same place at the same time. Sophia thanks Orhan sincerely for saving their lives in the dungeon. She tells him that without him, they would not have survived. After that, she mentions that this is one of her favorite places to visit at night because it helps her clear her thoughts. They spend some time talking quietly under the night sky. After a while, Sophia bows slightly and asks Orhan to join the Night Sky Rabbits. She says she wants to stay with him and continue learning from him. Orhan listens and then asks her a simple question. He asks what kind of place the Night Sky Rabbits is to her. Sophia answers that the Night Sky Rabbits feels like home to her. It is where she belongs, and it is where she wants to grow stronger with everyone. Hearing this this gives Orhan the clarity he needs. The next day, he goes to the Night Sky Rabbit's headquarters and meets with the clan leader. He tells him that he has decided to accept the offer and join them. Selma is happy when she hears the news. She presents Orhan with his official uniform and hands him his cloak, asking him to try it on. After putting on the cloak, Orhan steps outside. At that moment, Sophia and her party arrive. He looks at them with a small smile and tells them that from now on, he is a member of the Night Sky Rabbits. Ever since Orhan and Oliver were children, they often sparred with each other. In every match, Oliver appeared to dominate. To everyone watching, it was obvious that Oliver seemed stronger. As time passed, Oliver began to take pride in this image and fully convinced himself that he was the stronger of the two. What no one realized, however, was that Orhan had been holding back his true strength the entire time. He restrained himself because he did not want to seriously injure or possibly kill Oliver. While others believed Oliver was superior, Orhan quietly carried the burden of hiding his real power. The only person who noticed the truth was a girl named Sion. She could tell that Orhan was never fighting at full strength. When she confronted him about it, Orhan admitted that he was holding back. He explained that it was because his heart was too weak to endure the consequences of unleashing his full power on Oliver and the others. He understood that because he kept suppressing himself, Oliver ended up carrying a heavier burden. Since everyone believed Oliver was the stronger one, expectations were placed on him. Orhan felt responsible for that pressure and believed it was his fault. Hearing this, Sion broke into tears. She told Orhan that he did not have to face everything alone. She promised that she would grow stronger so she could stand beside him. She swore that she would catch up to him in strength one day and never let him be isolated again. Back in the present, the regional grandmaster receives shocking news. He is informed that a single adventurer managed to defeat a black dragon alone. Upon hearing this, he immediately assumes the adventurer must have been reckless or even overconfident to challenge such a creature by himself. Naturally, he believes it must have been Oliver who accomplished the feat. However, the guild master corrects him and explains that it was actually Orhan who defeated the black dragon. The grandmaster is stunned. He knows Orhan well and has witnessed him fight several times before. Yet he never imagined that Orhan possessed enough strength to slay an entire black dragon on his own. Doubt fills his mind. If Orhan truly had that level of power, then why would he have chosen to fight something as minor as a floor boss in the past? The situation does not add up. Curious, the grandmaster orders that he be kept informed about Orhan if anything unusual happens. He wants to know immediately. Elsewhere, Sion is no longer the young girl from before. She has grown into a capable adventurer and now leads her own party. After successfully taking down a notorious group of bandits, she and her team take a moment to rest. Suddenly, Sion senses someone nearby. Without hesitation, she calls out and tells the person to stop hiding and come out. A man steps forward from the shadows. It is a messenger. He delivers important news. There is word of a mysterious adventurer who defeated a black dragon alone. Not only that, but this individual is rumored to be connected to the church. Sion is surprised when she hears this. She never imagined that someone with such overwhelming power even existed. The thought of a lone adventurer slaying a black dragon leaves a deep impression on her, and she begins to wonder who this person truly is. Their mission is simple. They are to approach this mysterious dragon slayer, observe him closely, and determine whether he poses a threat. If he is judged to be dangerous, they are to eliminate him immediately. After delivering the message, the messenger disappears without another word. Sion remains silent for a moment as she processes the information. In her thoughts, she recalls the time she spent with Orhan. He was the only person she ever loved in this world, and they had vowed to remain together forever. Yet one day, she received a letter telling her that the church had pushed Orhan to his death. She has carried a deep bitterness toward the church ever since, believing they were the ones responsible for forcing him into that fate. If this unknown dragon slayer is truly affiliated with the church, she will not hesitate. In her mind, eliminating him would be a step toward avenging Orhan. With that resolve, Sion and her party begin making their way toward the southern region where the dragon was defeated. At the same time, a meeting is being held within the Night Rabbits clan. The clan leader gathers all the executives and announces that he is recommending Orhan for the position of lieutenant. For the promotion to pass, 2/3 of the judges must agree. The leader asks the executives to prepare to cast their votes. Before the voting begins, one of the judges speaks up and directs a question at Orhan. He asks whether Orhan is willing to lay down his life for the clan if necessary. The room grows quiet as everyone waits for his response. Orhan answers honestly and without hesitation. He says that he cannot promise to lay down his life for the clan itself because he once made a promise to someone precious to him, and he refuses to betray that promise. His straightforward answer shocks several of the executives. To them, this response does not just disqualify him from becoming a lieutenant, it could also make him unfit to remain a member of the clan. Orhan quickly realizes that they have misunderstood his meaning. He clarifies that while he may not pledge his life to the name or title of the clan, he would willingly risk everything to protect his comrades and the people he truly cares about. In his view, that is what a real lieutenant should prioritize. Loyalty to people matters more than loyalty to a name. His words leave a strong impression on the room. The executives and other members watching him begin to see his conviction and sincerity. After a brief pause, the votes are cast. In the end, the decision is made to keep Orhan in the clan and approve his position. Once the meeting concludes, Orhan walks through the hallway with Selma. During this time, he is introduced to Estella from the Adventure Management Division. Estella explains that she has a request for the new lieutenant. She wants him to help train some new recruits. Believing that his talent far exceeds her own, Orhan considers the request carefully. He remembers handling Logan and his party during the expedition when he served as a chaperone. Compared to that, teaching recruits should not be overly difficult. After thinking it through, he agrees. With that settled, Orhan is introduced to his new party members from Unit 1. They begin by introducing themselves as Rain, Lucretia, and Will, marking the start of a new chapter in his journey. These three, along with Selma, are now Orhan's new party and comrades. After introducing himself properly, Will quickly gets straight to the point and asks the question everyone has been thinking about. He wants to know how Orhan managed to defeat the Black Dragon alone. The memory is still painful for Orhan, but he decides to explain anyway. He says that his victory was mainly due to two original spells he created. The first spell can reduce the effectiveness of any incoming magic by 100 times, greatly weakening enemy attacks. The second spell increases the power of his own magic by 32 times. By combining both spells, he was able to overwhelm the Black Dragon. The entire party is stunned. They never expected Orhan to possess such overwhelming abilities. The scale of those spells is far beyond what normal adventurers can achieve. In that moment, they truly begin to understand just how powerful he is. From then on, none of them consider underestimating him again. They question Orhan about whether he possesses any special abilities, and he confirms that he does. Will then points out that this means 3 members of their party now have special abilities, but Selma remarks that it would be better to witness them in action inside the dungeon. With that settled, Selma explains her plan. She suggests that they head into the dungeon soon and fight a few monsters together. The goal is not just hunting, but teamwork. They need to understand each other's fighting styles and learn how to coordinate properly as a unit. Everyone agrees that it is a good idea, including Orhan. However, Orhan points out one issue. His weapon was destroyed during the fight with the Black Dragon, so he currently does not have a sword. He shrugs it off at first and says he can simply buy a new one from a store. Rain immediately stops him. She reminds him that he is now part of one of the top adventurer clans in the region. It would not be appropriate for him to use an ordinary store-bought weapon. His sword should be crafted by a reputable blacksmith. With that in mind, they decide to visit Aaron, the most skilled blacksmith in the area. They explain the situation and ask him to forge a new sword for Orhan. Aaron agrees, but there is a complication. To craft a high-quality weapon worthy of a lieutenant, he needs rare materials from the deeper levels of the dungeon. Unfortunately, he has run out of those materials and asks if they can supply some. The party is disappointed because they do not have any rare dungeon materials on hand. Just as the mood begins to drop, Orhan calmly tells them not to worry. He mentions that he still has many unused items from when he was part of the heroes party. He brings out the materials from his storage bracelet, and the others are impressed by the quality and rarity of what he has collected. But when he reveals a scale from the Black Dragon, the entire party freezes. That dragon was the same creature they once fought and failed to defeat. It was also the monster responsible for killing their former comrade, Albert. Orhan quickly realizes that showing the scale was insensitive. He prepares to apologize, understanding that it may have brought back painful memories. However, the others choose to remain calm. They act as though everything is fine, not wanting to make him feel guilty. In that quiet moment, Orhan understands something important. Despite his shared pain and complicated past. This new party might not be so bad after all. Later, Orhan gathers with his new comrades for a strategy meeting. Even now, he still is not fully used to the idea of having teammates again. It feels unfamiliar to prepare for another dungeon expedition with people who rely on him. He knows they respect his strength and believe in his experience. Because of that, he feels a quiet pressure. He does not want to fail them or fall short of their expectations. Sometime later, they arrive at the dungeon. Even though it appears as if they're standing in a forest, they are actually inside floor 86. Their goal is to hunt noxious sheep, while also testing how well they function as a team with Orhan included. Selma clearly assigns roles. Will act as the shield, drawing the monster's attention and keeping them focused on him. Rain will stay in the rear and attack with magic from a safe distance. Lucre may assist in attacking, but her main responsibility is to keep her healing magic ready at all times. Orhan will fight on the front lines as the main attacker alongside Will. Lucre casually remarks that Orhan is probably strong enough to defeat all the monsters by himself. Hearing that, Selma jokingly tells Orhan he can fight alone if that is what he prefers. Orhan gives a small smile, but he understands that today is about teamwork, not showing off his strength. Just as they are about to move forward, a sudden blast of fire shoots toward them without warning. Orhan reacts instantly and raises a barrier, blocking the attack before it can reach anyone. He quickly identifies the source. The attack belongs to an earth dragon. However, the creature is nowhere in sight. Lucre steps forward and closes her eyes. Using her tracking magic, she senses the dragon hiding in a nearby bush. Without hesitation, she uses a flash technique to force it out into the open. The earth dragon bursts from its hiding place, roaring. The team moves immediately. Will keeps its attention. Rain launches magic from behind and Lucre supports them while staying prepared to heal. Working together, they defeat the dragon quickly and efficiently. Orhan watches the flow of the battle carefully. He is impressed by how well they coordinate. They communicate clearly and trust one another. This team is completely different from the hero party he once traveled with. Instead of rushing forward recklessly, they listen, plan, and act together. After the fight, Orhan openly praises Selma's leadership. His words catch her off guard, and she blushes slightly at the compliment. Suddenly, loud growls echo nearby. The noise of the battle has awakened two earth dragons from their rest. Selma immediately sees this as another opportunity. It is the perfect chance to further test their teamwork. She gives quick instructions. Without hesitation, Orhan and Will charge forward together, preparing to engage the two dragons as the next battle begins. Just as Orhan and Will prepare to charge at the two earth dragons, Orhan suddenly senses something strange from the side. Without hesitating, he turns and launches a rock attack toward a nearby cluster of bushes. The attack hits its mark. A hidden turtle is forced out into the open. The rest of the team is surprised. None of them had noticed the monster hiding there. They quickly praise Orhan for his sharp instincts and awareness. If he had not reacted in time, they could have been attacked from behind. Now the situation becomes more dangerous. Two dragons stand in front of them, while the turtle is positioned in the opposite direction. Being surrounded makes everyone slightly nervous. Selma quickly steps in and regains control of the situation. She calmly gives clear instructions, assigning positions and targets. Her steady voice helps everyone focus. As they spread out to create distance, Orhan suddenly hears Selma's voice inside his mind. He is shocked to realize she is using telepathy to communicate with the entire team. Selma clarifies that this is her unique skill, and by using it, she can give instructions instantly without shouting. With telepathy guiding them, Orhan and Will coordinate perfectly against the two dragons. They follow Selma's commands precisely, adjusting their movements in real time. It does not take long before they successfully defeat both dragons. Will, seeing Orhan fight up close for the first time, is deeply impressed. He comments on how powerful and controlled Orhan's attacks are. Orhan, however, stays modest and simply says it was nothing special. Meanwhile, Rain and Lucre focus on the turtle. With steady teamwork and careful timing, they bring it down without much difficulty. The final monster falls, and the battle ends. As they walk, the group reflects on the fight. They openly acknowledge that Orhan performed exceptionally well, especially since this was their first time fighting together as a full team. Orhan agrees that things went smoothly. He admits that working with them felt much easier than working with the former hero party. Hearing that makes the others feel relieved and proud. It has been a long time since Orhan has been part of a team that truly cooperates and trusts one one another. He realizes he is genuinely enjoying every moment with them. After walking for some time, Selma slows her steps and turns back toward Orhan. With a serious expression, she asks him if he believes they are ready to challenge Floor 92. Orhan answers confidently that after seeing their coordination and growth today, he believes they have what it takes to defeat the black dragon waiting there. Selma thanks him for the compliment, but she remains cautious. She knows the black dragon is an extremely powerful creature, and overconfidence could be dangerous. Lowering her head respectfully, she asks Orhan to continue fighting alongside them when the time comes to face it. Orhan reminds his teammates of the promise he made earlier. He swore that he would protect his comrades at all costs, no matter what danger they face. He speaks calmly, but there is strong determination in his voice. Selma listens carefully and feels a deep sense of gratitude. Knowing that someone as powerful as Orhan is willing to stand by them gives her reassurance. After spending the entire day hunting noxious sheep on floor 86, the group feels exhausted but satisfied. Their teamwork improved and they gained valuable experience. Wanting to relax, they decide to visit a local diner to eat and have a few drinks together. As they sit around the table, Orhan thanks them sincerely. He appreciates how they trusted him and treated him as a true member of the team from the start. However, Selma quickly shakes her head. She insists that she should be the one thanking him. After Orhan defeated the Black Dragon, many famous parties tried to recruit him. He could have joined any powerful group he wanted, yet he chose their party instead. Rain agrees with Selma. She says they must continue improving so that Orhan never regrets choosing them. The thought of disappointing him motivates her. Orhan responds that after fighting beside them and spending time together, he feels confident in his decision. He tells them that this is the kind of party he has been searching for all along. They communicate well, respect one another, and truly function as a team. He says he is genuinely having fun with them. Hearing those words overwhelms Luker. Tears fill her eyes as she expresses how happy she is to have Orhan on their side. The mood at the table becomes warm and emotional. After some time, the atmosphere shifts into playful teasing. Will and the others jokingly suggest that Selma might have taken a personal interest in Orhan. Selma immediately blushes and tries to deny it, but her reaction only makes the teasing worse. Embarrassed, she suggests they take more shots of alcohol to lighten the mood. As the drinks continue, Selma becomes noticeably drunk. She moves closer to Orhan and tells him she has been waiting all day for this chance to sit beside him like this. Orhan becomes confused and uncomfortable. He is unsure how the situation escalated so quickly. Hoping for help, he calls out to Rain. Instead of helping, Rain suddenly grabs his arm and leans against him as well. Will and the others burst into laughter, joking that Orhan must be extremely popular to have two girls clinging to him at once. For Orhan, however, the situation is overwhelming. He is not used to this kind of attention, and the noise and teasing make it worse. Realizing he needs to end this before it becomes more chaotic, he quietly casts a sleep induction spell. Within seconds, both Selma and Rain gently fall asleep where they sit. Orhan releases a long breath of relief, grateful that the unexpected drama has finally stopped. Meanwhile, at home, Sophia waits patiently at first. As more time passes, her concern grows. She knows Selma went out hunting with Orhan and the others, but it should not have taken this long. She begins to wonder if something unexpected happened, unable to shake her uneasy feeling as the night continues. Suddenly, she hears a knock on the door. She immediately assumes it is Selma returning from the dungeon, but then she hears Orhan's voice from outside. Sophia freezes for a moment. Her heart starts beating faster. She wonders why Orhan would be here at this hour. She quickly opens the door, only to find Orhan standing there with Selma asleep on his back. Sophia is surprised. She did not realize Selma and Orhan had grown so close in such a short time. Seeing Selma resting so comfortably against him makes Sophia feel a small sting of jealousy. Orhan calmly explains the situation. The team held a small welcome party for him after their hunt, and Selma drank a little too much. Since she could not walk home on her own, he decided to carry her back safely. Sophia knows Selma rarely drinks. The fact that she did tonight must mean she was truly enjoying herself. Even so, Sophia cannot completely hide her jealousy. In a slightly eerie tone, she calls out Selma's name. The sound of her voice causes Selma to slowly wake up, confused about where she is. After Orhan politely says goodbye and leaves, Selma fully explains everything to Sophia. She describes the hunt, the celebration, and how she accidentally drank too much. She nervously apologizes and begs Sophia Sophia not to be angry. Sophia pauses to think. She realizes Selma did nothing truly wrong. It was simply a night of celebration. She decides she has no reason to be upset. However, she gently advises Selma to be more careful in situations like that, especially around alcohol. Relieved by Sophia's understanding, Selma calls her an angel and promises that nothing like this will happen again. Still, Selma cannot ignore something she has noticed recently. Sophia has been smiling more often than before. Selma understands that those smiles are not really because of her. They are mostly because of Orhan. Later that night, while taking a shower, Selma reflects on everything that has happened. The battles, the teamwork, and the way she acted around Orhan. She begins to wonder if she truly has feelings for him. She admits that she definitely likes him as a person. She respects his strength, his calm personality, and the way he protects the team. She tries to convince herself that it is nothing serious. She even tells herself that thinking otherwise would only complicate things. For Sophia's sake, she denies the possibility. Yet deep down, the question lingers in her thoughts. Meanwhile, Orhan is sitting alone, reviewing the files of his party members. As he reads through them carefully, he realizes that Sophia, Logan, and Caroline all carry painful and heavy pasts. Sophia's story affects him the most. The next day, Orhan arrives at the party headquarters for work. There, he is introduced to the caretaker from the adventure division. Her name is Carla. She is responsible for looking after the new members and is considered their caretaker. Carla has already heard that Orhan will be training Group 10, so she asks if he has read their files. Orhan replies that he reviewed them the previous night and that reading them helped him make his decision about how to handle the group. Carla feels relieved hearing this. She believes Orhan will naturally make the right choices. Orhan then wants to move straight to the main issue. He asks about the official training policy for the group. Estella explains that there is no fixed policy. Orhan is fully in charge and can decide how to train them as he sees fit. All he needs to do is rely on his experience and teach them what they need to survive and grow. She then sets a clear goal for him. After 6 months of training under Orhan, Group 10 should be strong enough to handle the middle floors of the dungeon on their own. Orhan understands that this is a very high standard. However, he knows it is not impossible, so he accepts the challenge. Later, as he leaves the building with Selma, she mentions that he must have already read the files. That means he now knows about her past and Sophia's past as well. Orhan admits that he was surprised when he first read Sophia's file. Sophia's mother worked as a maid in her household. She died shortly after giving birth to Sophia. After her death, the Claudel family took Sophia in. However, even though she lived under their roof, she never truly belonged there. As the child of a mistress, she had no proper place in the household. Life there was harsh and unkind to her. Selma did everything she could to protect and support Sophia, but after Selma eventually left the household, things became even worse for Sophia. When Selma returned for a visit some time later, she saw how bad the situation had become. That was when she asked Sophia to leave with her. Selma explains that this is the main reason she wants Sophia to become a strong adventurer. She wants her to stand on her own feet, without depending on anyone or lowering herself before others just to survive. Orhan listens carefully. After hearing everything, he promises that he will do his best to guide and protect Sophia during her training. Soon after, Orhan enters the next room. Logan and the others are already there, waiting eagerly for him. They are clearly excited to have Orhan back as their teacher. They admire him because he is extremely strong and possesses advanced and original spells that few others can use. Orhan tries to explain that he is not as strong as they think. He says he still has a long way to go before he can truly call himself powerful. However, the students remind him that he defeated the Black Dragon. To them, anyone who can defeat a monster like that must be incredibly strong. Orhan tells them in a serious tone that if they ever want to clear the dungeon, they must also become strong enough to bring down the Black Dragon themselves. He admits that it may seem impossible for them right now, but he believes that with proper training and time, they will eventually reach that level. Hearing this fills the students with determination. They become ready to give their full effort. Orhan begins their first lesson. He tells them that during battle, they must always think. They cannot simply follow a fixed plan every time. Situations change, and they must learn to adapt. Flexibility is just as important as strength. Next, he tells them not to assume that everything he says is automatically correct. He admits that he has made many mistakes in the past. He is not perfect, and he is not always right. Instead of blindly following his words, he wants them to combine his advice with their own judgment out and think for themselves. After that, Orhan says he wants to understand them better. He asks each of them why they chose to become adventurers. Sophia speaks first and explains that she always wanted to become an adventurer because she admires her sister, Selma, and wants to be strong like her. However, she also admits that she still does not fully know what she wants to do in life. The main reason she became an adventurer is to discover her own goals and dreams. Orhan tells her that they will work together to help her find and achieve those dreams. When Sophia hears this, her face turns red, she blushes deeply and bows her head to thank him. Next is Logan. He honestly admits that his main reason for becoming an adventurer is to earn a lot of money. The village where he grew up had poor soil and crops rarely grew well. There was often not enough food for everyone. Even though his family and neighbors were poor, they gathered what little money they had and sent Logan to town to become an adventurer. He wants to succeed so he can send money back and support the people who believed in him. Orhan listens carefully and tells Logan that his reason is admirable and meaningful. Logan admits that he once believed he was already on the level of a high-ranked adventurer. However, after witnessing Orhan's strength and seeing how terrifying the Black Dragon truly was, he realized that he is still far from that level. He understands now that he is weak and needs to improve. Orhan promises to teach Logan everything he knows. However, he makes it clear that knowledge alone is not enough. Logan will need to work hard and train seriously if he wants to master those skills. Logan agrees without hesitation. When it is Caroline's turn, she says she does not have an impressive or dramatic story. She explains that she became an adventurer simply because she had the opportunity to do so. She says that whenever monsters appear, people's smiles disappear. She wants to defeat monsters so that people can continue smiling without fear. As Orhan listens, he quietly swallows. For a brief moment, he senses something dark hidden beneath her calm words. Still, he chooses not to overthink it. After hearing all their reasons, Orhan tells them to always remember why they became adventurers. In difficult moments, those reasons will give them strength and direction. Curious, the students then ask Orhan if he has his own reason. Orhan says he wants to become strong enough to protect the things that matter to him. If someone is weak, they cannot protect anything. That is why he continues to train and grow stronger. He also adds that he will not treat them like children. He expects them to take their training seriously and give their full effort. They all agree. Noticing that Caroline's name is long, Orhan suggests giving her a nickname. After thinking for a moment, he decides to call her Carol. She treasures the nickname deeply. Logan and Sophia quickly ask for nicknames as well, so Orhan calls them Log and Sophie. They are both pleased and accept the names happily. Soon after, they enter the dungeon together. Carol takes the role of defender. She begins by engaging a group of wolves and defeats several of them quickly. However, as Orhan watches closely, he notices something troubling. Her attacks are too violent and aggressive. A defender's role is not to eliminate enemies directly, but to draw their attention and create openings for the attackers. Orhan realizes that her current fighting style is dangerous. If she continues fighting this way, there is a high chance she could be killed. Just then, a wolf quietly sneaks up behind her. Orhan immediately understands that she may not react in time. Without hesitation, he steps in, using his spells along with his sword. He quickly defeats the wolf before it can harm her. Orhan walks over to Carol and tells her that she needs to be more aware of her surroundings during battle. However, Carol calmly replies that she does not need to be careful when fighting. Orhan is confused by her answer. It does not make sense to him. Without warning, Carol pulls out a blade and cuts her own hand. Orhan immediately scolds her and demands to know what she is doing. That is when Carol reveals her special ability. She cannot die because her wounds heal instantly. The cut on her hand closes within seconds. She explains that she has already grown used to the pain. Orhan then recalls what he had read in Carol's report about her past. She had a very painful childhood. She was captured and imprisoned for years by the Cyclamen Church. Their goal was to revive a being known as the Evil God, a powerful and terrifying monster. The Cyclamen Church was one of the most wanted criminal organizations in the world. They committed countless unforgivable crimes, including human trafficking and trafficking of body parts. Because of Carol's healing ability, they used her for cruel and repeated experiments. She was forced to endure extreme pain over and over again. One day, Albert broke into their facility and rescued her. However, by that time, Carol was mentally unstable because of everything she had suffered. Over time, with proper therapy and care, she was able to recover to some extent. Eventually, she she chose to become an adventurer by her own will. He realizes that Albert's death must be a deep emotional wound for her, one he cannot fully understand. Even so, Orhan remembers that he promised not to treat them like children. He tells Carol to look at the faces of her comrades. They are filled with fear and worry. Orhan explains that even if her wounds heal instantly, she still feels pain when she is hurt, and every time she feels pain, they feel pain too, because they care about her as their companion. Carol begins to break down emotionally when she sees that her teammates are not smiling. Orhan understands in that moment that the thing she fears most is seeing the people around her lose their smiles. As she struggles with her emotions, Orhan steps forward to comfort her, but she quickly moves back in fear, thinking he is about to hit her. Instead, Orhan approaches her gently and pulls her into a firm embrace. He tells her that no one here will ever hurt her, and if anyone ever tries, he will personally knock them out. Carol finally feels safe. She begins to cry in Orhan's arms and thanks him again and again. After they finish exploring the dungeon for the day, the group returns to headquarters. Orhan immediately puts Carol through a series of intense training drills designed to strengthen her bodies and improve her defensive skills in real battles. On the other hand, Logan has begun training with the spear so he can learn to maintain distance from enemies while carrying out his role as an enchanter during battle. Meanwhile, during Sophia's training session, she practices using her elemental magic to shoot down moving targets. At first, everything goes smoothly. Then suddenly, two targets appear at the same time. The unexpected change makes her panic. She extends her arm in confusion, and a wave of energy shoots out from her staff, causing the middle target to suddenly fall. Sophia is shocked. She knows she did not cast a spell, yet the target still dropped. Orhan steps forward and explains that he has experienced something similar before. It was around the time when his own special ability first appeared. He says it is too early to confirm whether Sophia has awakened a special ability, but considering that Selma is her sister, it would not be surprising if she had one as well. Time passes, and the group continues training consistently. Each member shows clear improvement. Their movements become sharper, their coordination becomes smoother, and their confidence grows. Orhan feels proud watching their progress. The day before, they managed to defeat the Orc Lord, the boss of the 20th floor, entirely on their own. Orhan praises them for this achievement, recognizing how far they have come. At that moment, Rain approaches Orhan to inform him that his new sword is ready. Orhan heads to the blacksmith to inspect it. As soon as he holds the weapon, he realizes it fits perfectly in his hands. The balance feels right, and the weight is ideal. With this new sword in his grasp, Orhan silently vows that he will use it to protect his comrades, no matter what challenges lie ahead. A couple days later, Orhan gets straight to work and finishes off the last monster on the floor with his new sword, pushing the group forward to floor 91. His comrades watch him move and can see immediately how natural the sword feels in his hands. Orhan tells them that everything about it is perfect. It feels like it was made specifically for him. Aaron, the blacksmith for the night sky silver rabbits, made sure the black dragon scale did not go to waste. He put everything he had into the work and produced one of the finest swords he has ever crafted. However, the others had heard that Orhan also asked for the blood of the hiding turtle they caught to be used in the forging, and they cannot figure out why. That would normally make the blade less sturdy. Orhan tells them there was a specific reason behind it, and as for the loss in sturdiness, that is not a problem. He can simply use his support magic to compensate for it. They ask whether he has settled on a name for the sword yet. He tells them it is called Schwarges. The name draws a few confused looks since it is clearly not a common word. Orhan explains that it means black rabbit. Will speaks up and says that something along the lines of the black dragon would have sounded far cooler. Orhan smiles and tells them he chose that name on purpose. It is his way of marking the moment he joined the night sky silver rabbits. That lands well with everyone in the group. With the sword proven and working exactly as hoped, Selma says they are just about ready to take on floor 92 and go after the black dragon. As they wrap up for the day and head back, Selma pulls Orhan aside and tells him she wants to sit down with him the following day to walk him through their plan for the floor 92 assault. Orhan apologizes but tells her he already has something committed for that day. He promised to take Group 10 dungeon diving, and he intends to keep that promise. He has been watching Group 10 closely and can see how much they have improved. They have pushed all the way to floor 29, which is no small achievement, and he wants to keep the momentum going so they continue to grow. Selma is genuinely impressed when she hears floor floor 29. She mentions her sister Sophia in particular, saying she is growing up faster than she expected. Later that night, Orhan meets with the old man, who is in a noticeably serious mood. He tells Orhan about a group called the Aniplot. Adventure killers have begun showing up around the southern Great Dungeon, and the Aniplot are believed to be behind it. Orhan knows the name. The Aniplot is one of the two most dangerous criminal organizations operating outside of the Cyclamen Church. Their belief is that dungeons should never be cleared, and they are willing to kill anyone who tries. Orhan is skeptical at first. He has not heard a single word about this from the guild, which makes him think it might just be a rumor making its way around. The old man tells him to think again. Several high-ranking adventurers have already been killed. The guild most likely kept it quiet on purpose to stop widespread panic from breaking out. Orhan listens and feels something harden inside him. Whatever reasoning the Aniplot put forward to justify what they are doing, it means nothing to him. As far as he is concerned, they are cold-blooded killers, and nothing they say will ever change that. Before they wrap up for the night, Orhan tells the old man that there is something he wants him to build for him. Meanwhile, the rest of Orhan's party members are sitting with their thoughts, turning over the same question from every angle. They have 3 days before they face the Black Dragon. They think back to the last time they stood in front of that creature, and what it cost them. Albert is gone because of that fight. Every single one of them carries that burden. But this time, the feeling in the room is different. This time, they are not going in with doubt. They are going in with a promise to each other that things will end differently. That same night, Selma stands near her window staring up at the night sky, lost in thought. Sophia finds her there and does not need to ask what is on her mind. She can see that Selma is nervous. Sophia knows that with Orhan now standing alongside them, their chances are better than they have ever been. But better chances are not a guarantee, and she knows Selma is going regardless because she needs to do this for Albert. So Sophia does not say any of that out loud. She just steps forward and wraps her arms around her sister and tells her to please be careful. In that moment, holding Sophia close, Selma feels it clearly. Her little sister has grown stronger than she realizes. Selma pulls back and takes her by the shoulders. She looks her in the eye and promises her that she is going to defeat the Black Dragon. The next day, Group 10 moves through the dungeon with Orhan watching over them and clears floor 29. That means the application to advance to floor 30 can now be submitted, and once that goes through, their real journey as adventurers begins in earnest. The group celebrates at the thought of it. Everyone except Sophia, who goes quiet. She does the math and realizes what reaching floor 30 actually means. Orhan will no longer be their instructor. That is not something she is ready to feel good about. The following day at headquarters, Estella calls Group 10 together and tells them the application for their floor 30 advancement has come through. An observer will be assigned to confirm that they clear it on their own without outside help. She tells them the date has been set for 2 days from now. The room settles into silence as everyone works out what that means. 2 days from now is the exact same day Orhan and his party are scheduled to take on the Black Dragon at floor 92. Orhan was supposed to be there to chaperone their floor 30 run. Now that both dates land on the same day, he immediately offers to reach out to Selma and push back the floor 92 attempt to make room. Before he can finish the thought, Group 10 stops him. They tell him they already know how much that fight means to everyone in his party. Albert's name hangs in the air without anyone needing to say it. They tell Orhan to go and clear floor 92 with his comrades. They will handle floor 30 on their own. Sophia says out loud that she is not a child anymore. It is time for her to become a real adventurer and stand on her own feet. With that said, the whole group bows together, all of them asking Orhan with everything they have to please say yes. Orhan is not entirely comfortable with the idea, but he agrees to let them go ahead on their own. Before he gives his full blessing though, he wants to see their plan first. They walk him through everything shortly after, and once he has gone over it carefully, he tells them it is solid. But he also reminds them that plans do not always survive contact with reality. They need to stay ready for anything they do not see coming. He then hands each of them a good luck charm and tells them genuinely that he hopes every single one of them comes back home safe. The following day, Orhan and his party head into the dungeon alongside Group 10, each group moving toward their own objective. Group 10 works their way up through the floors and runs into a pair of unexpected goblins along the way. They hold themselves together, coordinate quickly, and take the goblins down without wasting any time. The observer watching them cannot quite believe what he is seeing. These are new recruits, but their moving like they have years of experience. At the same time, Orhan and his party step onto floor 92 and face what is waiting for them. Selma hands out buffs to the whole group. Orhan adds an extra status boost on top of that for himself, pushing all of his stats up to 4 times their normal level. Everyone settles into position and prepares to face the Black Dragon. Meanwhile, Group 10 reaches floor 30 and is closing in on the floor boss when they come across something they were not expecting. A group of adventurers is already on the floor. Logan figures the simplest thing to do is go over and explain that Group 10 intends to be the ones to take down the floor boss. They approach the group and introduce themselves as members of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. The moment that name lands, the adventurers react. They know that clan. That is the same group the Dragon Slayer belongs to. They ask Group 10 directly whether they know him personally. The group goes quiet. The girl in the hood does not wait for a verbal answer. She signals to Zuriel, who uses his magic to slip into Logan's mind for just a moment and confirm what she already suspected. The kids do know the Dragon Slayer. More than that, he is their teacher. A look passes between the hooded girl and the others. They could not have asked for better luck. All they have to do now is use Group 10 to draw the Dragon Slayer out. Back on floor 92, the battle against the Black Dragon is already brutal. Orhan's party spent the better part of the past year going over every mistake they made the first time. They know exactly where things went wrong, and they came back with a plan built around those lessons. Now that they are in the middle of it, the Black Dragon feels like something they can actually handle. Back on floor 30, the observer sees the danger closing in around the kids before they do. He moves without hesitation and steps in front of them to shield them from what is coming. In the next instant, his head is cut clean off. Logan and the others stand frozen, unable to process what they just watched happen. They demand to know why these people are doing this. The answer comes back calm and unbothered. It is nothing personal. Group 10 simply had the bad luck of being close to the Dragon Slayer, and once they are done here, the real entertainment begins when they go after the Dragon Slayer himself. That is all Caroline needs to hear. Something inside her snaps, and she launches herself at them with everything she has. She gets swatted back almost immediately, though she manages to twist at the last second and soften the landing before she hits the ground. The Amantov members looks at her without much concern and tells kids to stop making this harder than it needs to be. They have no real desire to hurt any of them. Sophia stands completely still, squeezing the good luck charm Orhan gave her so tightly her knuckles go white. She has never wished for anything as badly as she wishes he were here right now. On floor 92, Orhan's charm suddenly begins to glow. He stops. The charm was not just a gesture. He built it as a warning device, something that would alert him the moment any member of Group 10 found themselves in danger. His focus fractures instantly. His mind is no longer fully on the Black Dragon in front of him. He pulls himself together enough to think clearly and lands on one conclusion. They need to finish this fight as fast as humanly possible and then get to Group 10. Selma hears him and makes her position clear without hesitation. She is responsible for the lives of everyone in this party, and she is not going to gamble with them no matter what is happening elsewhere. The dragon is badly wounded. Orhan can see it and allows himself a sliver of relief. This should be almost over. Then the dragon does something none of them have ever seen before. It stops, and then, right before their eyes, every wound on its body begins to close. The damage they spent all this time dealing out disappears completely as the creature heals itself back to full. The entire party stares in disbelief. Orhan had no idea it could do that. Every bit of progress they made is gone. They are standing exactly where they started. Orhan feels the weight of it crash down on him all at once. The dragon is whole again and ready to keep fighting, and somewhere below him, Sophia and the others are in danger. He is being pulled in 2 directions at the same time, and he knows that hesitating in either one could cost someone their life. He forces himself to think. There has to be a way through this. He just has to find it. Outside, Logan notices that Sophia is frozen in shock after seeing Carol get hit. He tells her to snap out of it and stop worrying. He says Carol will be fine because she can regenerate. He then tells Sophia that they should be like Orhan, who never gives up no matter how bad things look. Hearing this gives Sophia a small boost. She regains her focus and prepares to fight again. Logan quickly uses his support magic to strengthen both of them with buffs. Right after that, Sophia fires a thunder arrow at their enemy. However, the man blocks it easily without much effort. Seeing this, Logan tells Sophia to run. They both start running while the enemy chases them. After leading him for a while, Logan suddenly suddenly activates a spell that traps the man inside a rock enclosure. Logan says this is a technique his master taught him, and he is glad he finally got to use it in a real fight. He then rushes forward with his spear, aiming to finish the enemy, but the man stops him by grabbing the spear mid-attack. The force of the clash is so strong that the rock trap breaks apart instantly. Right after that, the man strikes Logan and knocks him to the ground. He looks down at Logan and says it is unfortunate he has to die now. He adds that this fight could have made Logan stronger. Sophia watches in shock, realizing Logan is about to be killed. The man raises his sword and prepares to cut Logan down. At that moment, Sophia screams and stretches her hand forward. Suddenly, the enemy freezes in place and cannot move. He struggles to break free, but the force holding him is too strong. His teammates call out to Giba and ask what is taking so long, but he cannot even explain what is happening. Sophia keeps her hand stretched forward, and a strange energy flows from it. She realizes this is the same tingling feeling she experienced during training. She understands that this must be her special ability. With that in mind, she forcefully slams Giba into a wall. Then she quickly runs to Logan and starts healing him. Logan, confused, asks how he is still alive. Sophia tells him that she saved him using her special ability. However, Giba recovers quickly. He shouts at them, saying they will pay for what they did. His comrades tell Giba to hurry up, since Sion is already getting irritated. Sion calmly replies that she is not angry, just curious about why it is taking so long. Giba tells them not to worry and says he will finish things right now. Logan summons his magic circle and tells Sophia they need to use all the magic they have. Sophia creates her own magic circles and prepares to fight. In her mind, she decides she will do everything she can to protect the people she cares about. At the same time, Orhan and his group are shocked as the Black Dragon shows another ability they did not expect. Orhan decides it is time to stop holding back. He uses a new alteration spell on his sword, greatly increasing its power. Then he charges at the Black Dragon, dodging its attacks as he moves forward. He lands a strong hit that knocks the dragon down for a moment. His teammates almost celebrate, thinking the fight is over, but the dragon uses its regeneration again and recovers. Seeing this, Orhan realizes the only way to defeat it is to destroy it in a single attack before it can heal again. The dragon swings its tail to attack. Selma quickly puts up a barrier to block it. However, after several hits, the barrier breaks and Selma is thrown back. At that moment, Orhan appears above the dragon. He uses the fourth stance of his alteration skill to strike from above. His attack hits the dragon directly and destroys it completely. Selma sees that the dragon has been defeated. She praises Orhan, then collapses from exhaustion. Meanwhile, back with Logan and Sophia, Logan has already been knocked out by Giba. Giba now focuses only on Sophia. He realizes her special ability is dangerous and decides it is best to kill her now before it becomes a bigger problem. Sophia falls to her knees. She is frustrated because she can no longer use her ability. She looks at Giba, knowing she is about to die, and quietly begs for someone to save her. Just as Giba is about to strike, he is suddenly slammed into a wall by a powerful attack. Through the smoke, Orhan appears and apologizes for being late. Sophia is overwhelmed with relief when she sees him. She almost starts crying as he runs over to her and hugs her. Orhan teleports Logan and Carol over to him and creates a protective barrier around them. He tells them they are safe now and that they have nothing to worry about as long as he is there. Orhan steps forward and faces the group. He asks why they attack those kids. Sion answers that it is because the kids are connected to him, the Dragon Slayer. They used them as bait to draw him out, and it worked. Hearing this, Orhan declares that he will make them pay. He says they will suffer a fate worse than death. The group is not concerned. They say they are members of the Amentoth and have been specially trained to kill humans. On top of that, it is 3 against 1, so they believe Orhan has almost no chance of winning. Orhan disagrees. He prepares a spell and activates his weight-up skill, creating a heavy gravity field around them. Sion is the only one fast enough to escape before it fully takes effect. The others are trapped inside. Since they cannot move properly, Orhan follows up with an electric shock attack and incapacitates them. Now only Sion remains. She admits she did not expect him to defeat her teammates so easily. Orhan moves to attack her, but she blocks it without difficulty. This surprises him because she is very strong despite her small size. Sion then casts a blizzard spell, which pushes Orhan back. He recognizes it as a special rank magic and is shocked that she can cast it so quickly. He looks up and sees sees her preparing an energy blast. At the last moment, he creates a barrier and uses it to escape the attack. From a distance, Logan and Sophia watch the fight. They are surprised to see Orhan being pushed back, but they trust that he can handle it. Meanwhile, Orhan is still trying to understand how Sion can cast powerful spells so fast. Sion, on the other hand, is impressed that he survived her attacks. Orhan acknowledges her strength and says it is a waste for someone like her to be part of the Amentoth. Sion replies that they need strong people like him. As she looks at him more closely, she says he reminds her of someone she knew as a child, someone who died in an accident. Orhan then asks her directly why she chooses to kill adventurers. Sion answers that it is not something she wants to do. She explains that after the original was defeated and the replica fell into enemy hands, their only option is to buy time. Orhan hears this but does not understand what she means. He also says he does not care about what terrorists have to say. Sion decides there is no point in continuing the conversation. She prepares to end the fight. She summons multiple explode spells at once. Orhan is shocked because it should not be possible to cast so many at the same time. The explosions hit him directly. As the smoke fills the area, the kids watch from afar and fears the worst. They think Orhan might not have survived. Sion also believes no one could survive that many attacks, so she assumes she has won. But when the smoke clears, her expression changes. Orhan is still standing. At the last second, he turned his sword into a shield and blocked the attack. Before she can react, Orhan switches to stance 0. He transforms his sword into a whip and binds her. Sion struggles to break free from the binding. Then she removes her hood. When Orhan sees her hair, it reminds him of someone he knew as a child, but he is not completely sure. Sion also recognizes his magic. She asks if his name is Orhan. She is confused about how he could be here, since she believes he died a long time ago. She assumes this must be the work of someone she calls her evil old man. Orhan is left speechless for a moment. Then he asks her who she is. Sion suddenly changes her attitude. She calmly asks him to let her go, saying she will not attack anyone anymore. Orhan is confused by this sudden shift. She acts as if they know each other. Sion only smiles and says he will understand someday. Right after that, Orhan runs out of magic. The whip disappears, and Sion's teammates begin to recover and stand up again. Orhan starts to panic. He knows that if they rejoin the fight, the situation could turn very dangerous. At that moment, Selma and the others arrive. They ask Orhan if he is okay and check on Sophia. Sion says it is time for her to leave. She says goodbye to Orhan and tells him that next time they meet, she hopes they are not enemies. She then teleports away with her teammates. Selma rushes to hug Sophia, while Logan and Carol are treated and healed. Sophia walks up to Orhan and thanks him for saving them. However, Orhan apologizes instead. He believes it is his fault they were put in danger. Carol disagrees. She says they would not even be alive if it were not for him. Logan then asks Orhan if he knows Sion. Orhan says he does not. Meanwhile, after reaching safety, Sion feels relieved that Orhan survived. However, she realizes he is now an adventurer. Even though they have met again, they are now enemies. Her expression becomes serious. She wonders why things turned out this way. She swears that the woman who took her away from her home, and from the time she should have spent with Orhan, will pay for it no matter the cost. Elsewhere, Oliver is seen training intensely. Philly walks in and asks if he is training to defeat the Black Dragon, or because of Orhan. Oliver admits that he feels ashamed. He never expected Orhan to surpass him by such a large margin. Philly says she is still amazed that Orhan defeated the Black Dragon alone. The news has spread, and people are now calling him the new hero. She also mentions that a combat tournament is coming soon. Hearing this, Oliver declares that he will defeat Orhan and prove that he is the true hero. Meanwhile, in his office, the Grandmaster is still struggling to believe that Orhan defeated the Black Dragon. He thinks Orhan must have found some other way to gain that level of strength. The thought makes him tense. He finds it ironic that someone who once had no interest in being an adventurer is now deep in dungeons defeating powerful enemies. He suddenly begins to laugh. He says that Orhan is working for him, whether he realizes it or not. He adds that if Orhan continues like this and becomes his savior, he might forgive him for what happened in the past. He leans back in his chair and declares that Orhan will not wake up from this dream until the day he dies, then continues laughing. The next day, Orhan meets Group 10 at the entrance of a dungeon. He assumes that none of them are satisfied with how their fight against the Amentoth went. He says they have now seen how weak they are, including himself. The others disagree. disagree. They say Orhan should not call himself weak because he is clearly much stronger than them. Orhan reminds them that if the fight had continued any longer, everyone there would have died, including the members of Unit 1. He admits that he once believed he was strong, but he failed to realize that there will always be people stronger than him. Right now, he is not strong enough to protect the people he cares about. Because of that, he knows he must become stronger. He tells them that the most important thing is that they are still alive. As long as they do not give up, they will continue to grow stronger and protect the people they love. After saying this, they all enter the dungeon together to continue their training. This was the end. Subscribe to not miss more recaps and watch the next video on screen.